How's it going, everyone? Hope you had a great E3. For those of you longtime viewers, you may remember the collaboration I did with TheLostChapter last year for E3 2018. Well, for this year, we're back at it.
Hey guys, it's TheLostChapter here, and we are just about an hour out of the Nintendo Direct to close E3.
Yeah.
So we're still fresh from this.
And what we're doing this year, for those of you that didn't read my community post, is we didn't want to organize each conference one by one, so we're kind of just putting them all into one huge podcast for you guys.
And we're going to be doing it in order of first press conference and the games in those press conferences to the last one, which will be Nintendo.
Yeah, so right now we're just going to get right into it because this E3 was kind of short, but it was kind of busy even though Sony was gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of things here. Just a lot of busy work.
Yeah, so I think what we should do now is let's start with EA, because actually before we start with EA, let me just say that since we're recording this all at once, we may mess up just like I did right now, so this is a podcast, so if you guys just want to listen to us talk, that's what it is. And you know the EA Play thing that they've been doing all E3?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't watch all of it. We just watched what happened before the tournaments.
Yeah, the Nintendo tournaments.
Yeah, and so we only have like 2 games to talk about for EA, because I only think they showed 2 games, plus FIFA and Madden and Sims, right?
Yeah. Oh, and it should be said, we are only talking about the things that stood out to us, not every single game.
Oh, yeah. And with that being said, only 2 games stood out to me from EA.
Yeah, I got one.
Alright, well...
So we should start with Star Wars?
That's actually one of mine, too. But before we go into Star Wars, let's kind of jump out of order for a second. And I want to talk about Battlefield 5 for a second.
Okay.
Because that's something that we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
This is just like a little comment. I wanted snow and rain maps, but instead we got desert and subway maps.
Yeah. Well, the subway map is a remake of one from Battlefield 3, which kind of looked cool, but it's not necessarily a new map. And then they showed off a desert map, and they said that was campaign levels. So we saw, I think, 3 maps, and 2 of them are old maps.
Yeah, I would have... You know how I feel about rain maps, and I'm sure most people watching my videos know how I feel about snow. So I just would have liked seeing snow maps, because you don't ever see snow maps or even rainy maps in shooters like this.
No, it's pretty rare, and I also was looking forward to just some kind of variety, because all this was very usual for Battlefield, which is probably caused by the fact that one of them was in the campaign and one of them was a prior map. It was pretty typical.
Yeah. Alright, well that's all I had to say about Battlefield 5. Let's
go. They didn't show too much other than just 3 maps.
Yeah. I mean, it looked cool. Battlefield 5 was cool. I think we talked about it last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we did. We talked about, because it looked really good graphically, and they were showing off the Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And then EA just did the generic old FIFA and Madden, which I was going to go back and rewatch Madden, but you said they didn't have anything really?
No, they just announced the beta, that was it. And FIFA had a trailer, but it was a bad trailer. I went back and watched it, and it was not that good of a trailer. And then they did Sims, which was, it was a bad trailer as well, a bad closer. And then I haven't heard anything else from EA all week, and I think they were running other things, so...
Yeah, but is that just because we didn't want to look at EA? It probably was.
Well, I keep up to date with the news and stuff because I'm looking around just to see what else drops. Because, I want to say yesterday, it wasn't part of any conference, but a Persona trailer dropped and stuff like that. So I'm keeping up for that stuff.
Oh, I actually think I saw that. It was for the PS4, right?
Yeah, it's the next version. It wasn't worth talking about though, so you don't have to worry about that coming back up. But
all right, well, the main thing we wanted to talk about from EA, and it kind of also leaks into Xbox, is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. What did you have to think about it?
The gameplay was slow.
It was slow?
Yeah, it felt pretty slow. At first it was okay. They showed some parkour and stuff and all that stuff. It was cool, but it was a little bit just slow. And the story beats didn't really get me. They showed off some Rogue One characters. One Rogue One character and then one robot that was introduced in Rogue One, just the type of droid, and even that stuff didn't really get me into it at all. It was expectations were high and it didn't really quite meet it.
Yeah. For me, I like that it's an open world-ish type game because I don't really play Star Wars games that much, but it reminded me a lot for some reason of the old Lego Star Wars games where you could just run around and do whatever.
They said it was open world, but this mission at least felt very linear. It felt like he was going pretty much on a straight path.
Yeah, have you ever played Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions?
No. Very limited in the Spider-Man games.
It felt like that, where it was just you were stuck in that one level, but you could go anywhere in that level as long as you got from point A to point B.
Oh, and I do want to mention that what we saw was part of a demo, but there was actually a longer demo behind closed doors that started at... Yeah, there. It includes this stuff, but it starts at... and we see a bit of this in the trailer that we see in Xbox, but it starts at the, like, AT-AT, or AT-AT Walker, that's sunken into, like, the swamp, and he's, like, swimming through and stuff. It starts there, and it goes until a little after the robot. It doesn't cut off there. We see the full boss fight in the closed door demo that we didn't get to see, but it was there for press and people who paid to attend.
Well, I mean, at least the press got it, but I kind of would have liked to see that from EA. Because even though, I mean, this was alpha footage for gameplay, so I would have liked to see a little bit more, but for the most part, I liked seeing how the gameplay itself worked. Like the executions on the stormtroopers, that was pretty cool.
Well,
using
I
the
heard
Force...
that the... Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, you can go ahead, I was
going to say, I heard that the, apparently the stuff that we were seeing was actually much more interesting too in the other one because the person who was doing the demo, the player, was actually much better at the game, so it made it look better too.
Oh, that's
so
true.
all around, I just hear that what we got was just inferior.
Yeah. I really like how they're making it seem like the Force is an essential part to the character. Like, you know that scene where he chucked that black droid?
Is that one? There's the time where he he froze the blast in time and he pulled the guy towards him and then let the blast hit him.
Yeah.
That one was cool.
The gameplay was very similar to Warframe, and you and me both commented on that.
Yeah.
Like the wall running, and even to me, like the scenery, even though it was Star Wars / Warframey, it just felt like something that came out of Warframe.
Yeah. Something that actually you just reminded me of is the brutality felt weird. Like he's cutting through stuff, and we're seeing him cut through the stuff, and then they just keep walking like they weren't even hit, and like you'd see it like he would like cut through the guy straight to the middle, and normally that would cut off the torso, and he just keeps walking, and it didn't feel like Star Wars, and that's something that we see all the time, like Darth Maul gets his torso cut off and all that stuff.
And I only have a couple of more little comments to say before we kind of go into Xbox's Star Wars presentation. You wanted to see more menu setups and customizations, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much straight gameplay, and I just kind of want to see, like, I think the map looked really cool, and there was just a lot of stuff that, like, I want to see. We saw gameplay the whole time, that's cool, just fighting, though. All it was combat, and I wanted to see just a little bit more, so we're sitting there for, like, 20 minutes, and all we're seeing is the same just gameplay. It's like, show me that little thing in between. He's getting level ups, and the guy's not opening up the menu for it. He's walking through things, it's like, hey, scan this thing, and he just walks right past it. Like, no, I want to see that stuff.
And I don't know, I saw someone talk about this on Twitter, which I really hope it's an option, but they said that this would be more of a story-driven game as opposed to those Star Wars games where you can pick light side and dark side. And even though that's the case, I would love to see like little character customizations, like lightsaber colors.
In the thing that they were talking to the guys afterwards, they said there was no story choices, but yeah, I'm hoping there's a lot of character customization, lightsaber customization, force customization, like all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no story branching paths or anything. It's telling a straight narrative. Yeah,
like lightsaber colors, lightsaber blade types. Like, I want to go around and be like, do I want to be a Jedi with like a purple lightsaber but have it be double-bladed like Darth Maul? Like, that would be cool, and still have it tie into the story.
Yeah, and they could just show a scene where he's like building the lightsaber, and that could be where we build it, and then we could make the choices. That would be totally cool. I don't think anyone would have an issue with that.
Yeah, and surprisingly, we've talked more about EA than I actually thought we would, so let's just go right into Xbox and talk about their Star Wars and what they did better.
So this trailer was apparently the closed door demo. It was only that. So the start of it and the end of it is what they showed in the closed doors, and we're just getting a little abridged portion of it. And I think it looked way better.
Yeah. They showed that cinematic trailer, and it was much better than just the alpha footage of gameplay, which I love seeing gameplay, but I think the cinematic trailer is what EA should have done.
Yeah, it had hooks. It made the stuff we've already seen, which this was all a trailer showing like half of what we've already seen. It made that stuff look better.
Yeah. And, I mean, they really didn't show much. They just showed that trailer. And personally, I thought it felt more Star Wars-y. I don't know how, but I really liked him climbing up the AT-AT leg, at the start.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was definitely the right way to go, but we were kind of soured by the EA presentation compared to this.
Yeah. But other than that, they didn't really show much, so I guess we could just get started on the Xbox conference now.
Alright, so I think I could pitch the first one probably. I think you may have this one as well. Bleeding Edge.
That was my first one, too.
Alright. So, what did you think of Bleeding Edge?
I thought the character designs were weird, but I like the idea of a 4v4 game because in the gaming industry today, which I'll have more to talk about this later, Battle Royale is just, it's a cool idea, and I used to love it on, like, Apocalypse Rising on Roblox, but it's just so oversaturated now.
Yeah. Everyone's got one.
Yeah, and I like seeing games like this where it's not the generic fighting where it's 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 like Smash or something. Even though I love Smash, just having a 4v4 team. I don't know. I just really like that idea.
Well, the thing is too, it almost felt like it was going in a very edgy direction, but then it kind of.
It is called Bleeding Edge.
But it was like jolly in a way. Like all the designs are edgy, but then it's very jolly in its vibes, and it's just excited to be. It's excited to. It looks like it's excited to exist, basically, which is not the way that edgy games usually are. It's usually just like dark and grim and.
To me, it kind of felt like it was being edgy, but it was kind of being edgy in the Deadpool way, where it's like it knows it's edgy and it loves being lighthearted edgy, kind of like that.
It doesn't go too far, which you would think from the first few seconds. I think everyone's like, "Oh, this is what this is," and then it just keeps going, and it's like, "Oh, this is what this is." Okay.
Yeah, I like trailers like this where it's like they don't draw me in through the character designs or what the game actually is, but then as soon as you see it happening through gameplay or at least like partial gameplay, it's like, "Huh, I want to play that."
Yeah, no, it looks cool.
Should we go on to the next one?
Sure, what do you have?
My next one is Minecraft Dungeons.
Alright, then I have one before them, then we can get to that. I have Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk about it briefly. I think everyone who saw this game thought it was coming soon. I think it looked pretty close to finished. We heard about it last year, and I think everyone was expecting a close-by release date. You and I was expecting even maybe it being released right then and there. Yeah, and this game is not going to be coming out until February next year.
I was never into like Ori and the what was it called again? Will of the Wisps?
Yeah, Will of the Wisps.
It looks cool visually, but I don't know how it would play as a game. Like it just doesn't appeal to me. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, all I wanted to just really get into is just like the launch date felt so far for what we were seeing. But that's about it.
So
do you want to get into Dungeons?
Yeah, because I don't really have anything to say about Ori. It does look cool, but Minecraft Dungeons, let me just say, it's like a 4-player top-down game like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and I was actually thinking that throughout the whole showcase. It's Minecraft, but it's Ultimate Alliance at the same time, and I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's got it's Diablo inspired, which also, to go off of your Marvel thing, the guy who did Diablo also did Marvel Heroes, if you ever played that. Yeah. And I went over this trailer again and again a few times, and there's a lot of cool loot they have. Like, you can have, like, a golem be your, like, sidekick and back you up the whole time, and different rarities of loot and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, but we haven't really seen too much because I don't know if you've seen any of the inside Xbox at E3 stuff or inside any of that stuff aside from
No.
from the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot stuff that I did, which I'll talk about in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure they showed more of it. I just didn't see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This game was announced actually before this, or leaked or something like that. I heard about before this, but I don't think it had. We didn't see as much of it as we did to, this press conference.
Yeah.
And it looks good.
I personally think top-down Minecraft is really interesting. I know that in actual Minecraft you can be both first-person and kind of top-down, but this one is like a different camera angle of top-down that I think just appeals to me more.
It's a bird's-eye view kind of thing.
Yeah. Alright, but that's all I had to say about that. What's your next game? Because my next game is The Blair Witch.
That is my next game, yeah.
Alright, so what do you think about that?
Blair Witch looked good.
I never saw the movie.
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one or the third one, but I've seen the first one. Saw it last year, actually.
Yeah, what I thought about it was, I'm going to say this a lot, it looked a lot like Slender and Outlast, which we actually thought it was going to be Outlast 3 at first, right?
Yeah, definitely getting Outlast vibes because you see the camera and the battery, and I know that the battery life and all that stuff is a big deal for Outlast. But it also makes sense for Blair Witch because Blair Witch is about documentarians and stuff, so...
Yeah, in the trailer, you know how it had the camera looking at the guy looking at the wall?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to make a Blair Witch joke, but then the title came up and I was like, oh, I don't need to make that joke now.
Yeah, I was thinking they were showing all this evil like tree stuff, and I was like, oh,
Evil Dead.
This must be like Evil Dead or something. And then they showed the Blair Witch thing. I was like, okay, maybe not Evil Dead, but very Evil Dead-like. I thought they were just doing a bunch of homages to movies, and it was just like, no, just one movie, just one.
Yeah, because if you get Evil Dead, that ties into Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man 4. Everybody seen those Spider-Man 4 development pics? Anyway, that's not E3, but I kind of want to talk about that later on.
Alright.
Even though it's not E3, just like I think it'd be a fun video idea.
But well, then look forward to that video, I guess.
Yeah. My next one is a big one for you. I don't know if it's your next one, though.
Cyberpunk, yes.
Yeah, Cyberpunk. Let me just say, since I'm not very interested in the game, the Keanu Reeves reveal, that was cool.
It was hype.
You're breathtaking.
So Cyberpunk, I hadn't really been following until it showed off last year at E3, and I actually didn't think the trailer was that good back then. I didn't really get the hype. But last year at E3, behind closed doors again, they showed this 30-minute gameplay demo, and they released that demo to the public, I want to say, like September last year, and it was good gameplay. It shows you who your partner is going to be in the game, called Jackie. It shows you this, like, boss, like your boss in this game called Dex, and then we get to this cinematic trailer, and we find out the person who's going to be your partner this whole game that they told us about is dead in the car, and he is gone already. Like, we just find out, like, rip that band-aid off. The character you assumed was going to be, like, the main character other than yourself is dead.
Yeah.
And your character you think is going to be your boss betrays you and tries to get you killed, and then he shoots you in the head by the end of the cinematic. And then we find out the new partner character is actually Keanu Reeves. It was a lot going on.
I was going to make another, like how I said I was going to make a Blair Witch joke, I was going to make a Keanu Reeves joke, and then it was actually Keanu Reeves. So, like, this E3 was just full of those, I'm going to make a joke because this reminds me of something, but then, oh wait, it actually is that thing.
Well, here's the thing, too. The game looked so good that I think everyone, like, looked at it and was like, is that Keanu Reeves? Like, immediately. It wasn't like, when I was at a point where it's just like, oh, that looks like it's based on Keanu Reeves. Like, no, that might be Keanu Reeves.
That looked like Keanu Reeves in 2077. Like, the graphics in this game, from what we've seen, I don't know if that's what the final product's going to look like, because Watchdogs.
It doesn't quite look the same way, but if the gameplay looks very good. Like, visually very good. Gameplay very good.
It looks very good, and it has a certain style to it that I think that's going to be the main driving force for people that aren't into the gameplay, that are like me, where it's like, this game doesn't appeal to me, but man, it looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, and it comes out, they gave the release date, it comes out, I want to say May next year, maybe April.
Yeah, we didn't write down
really soon. I did not write down release dates.
Yeah, we didn't write down notes for any of these release dates. So, if you guys know the release dates, let us know in the comments, because I'm sure some people are gonna ask, and then we're gonna not know because we were just writing notes as it went on.
But then do you have anything else you want to say? Oh, we saw some gameplay after that with the release date trailer, and that stuff, it still looks really good, man. It looks good.
Yeah. Personally, not my type of game, but I'm sure that you're pretty hyped for it.
Oh yeah, release in less than a year is definitely not what I was expecting. Because this game, I could have seen it being next gen even, and we know now that it's not going to be next gen. It's going to be this gen.
Yeah. But I think that's everything we have to say about that, right?
Yeah, we should be good on that.
All right, my next one.
And then I'm guessing Battletoads for you.
Battletoads, was that what your next one was?
Okay. I see us having a lot of similar ones as we go.
Yeah, Battletoads. I've never played a Battletoads game, but I have played the old TMNT games. And personally, I really like the cartoony style and the whole little like surfing, skateboarding section. I don't remember what it was off the top of my brain.
It's a little hovercraft thing, which is supposed to be like the hardest part of the original one. Like that's the level that like is impossible to beat.
Is this a new game or is it a remake?
I think it adds so much to it that you could consider a new game, and I don't know if there's a narrative to the first one, but I believe it's a remake. Like that hovercraft section, it's third person, whereas the other one was like zoomed out in a way like kind of like the Mario camera angle, but it's the same section other than that, so it's probably more of a remake.
Yeah, but personally, I just really like the style of this game, and that's my main point on Battletoads. What did you have to think about it?
The art style looks really good, first off. Co-op sounds good. And I think the art style is just the main takeaway. I mean, it looks good. I think there's no one who thinks it doesn't look good, right?
Yeah. So now that you mention co-op, that reminds me, there's a lot of 3-player co-op games throughout all of these conferences.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the deal is, because, I mean, I'm not complaining. 3-player co-op, that's perfect for our friend group. And
it's a nice, unique dynamic.
Yeah,
which is what you're talking about earlier with wanting more unique dynamics.
Yeah, but why would they want, like, as a developer and as a company, why would you want to restrict it to only 3 players? Is that, like, a strategy, or am I just missing something?
I honestly could not tell you if, as far as Battletoad goes, if Battletoads was 3 players, not before.
Well,
so I'm not sure about that.
For
but
Battletoads,
other ones for
it
sure
makes,
that
it makes sense.
3.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off, by the way.
You're good.
It makes sense for Battletoads because there are only 3 Battletoads. Or like if we got a Way Out 2, and if there was like, since they had 2-player co-op in the first game, 3-player co-op. But why would you want to go back for like 3-player co-op if you have like 4+ player? You know, that's just what I'm thinking.
I wonder if just having 3 people is just like, not from development perspective, but just from a gameplay perspective. I wonder if just teamwork is so much easier. Just have to communicate to 3 people instead of 4. I wonder if that's just all. That's a good reason for it.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I'm not complaining.
A lot of things we saw were a bit more competitive and like teamwork oriented. It wasn't just like, hey, run and shoot. They were showing like a lot of team ups in the games we've seen 3v3. So I wonder if it's just a team angle.
Yeah. But yeah, it looked really good, Battletoads.
I think the next one that I have is not one that you have, so.
It's not. What's your next one?
Microsoft Flight Simulator.
That is what I have.
Wow, I had an extra thing to pick it out.
But you know how I said before we started recording that all the games, like half the games that I talked about, are just little sly remarks? This is one of those games. It looked really beautiful, which I doubt it's going to look like that in the final product, but that's all I had to say. It just looks really good.
Well, I think everything we saw was gameplay, though, right? Like, it looked like it was being played. Even if it wasn't, like, the final product, it looks like gameplay.
Yeah.
It looked really good.
Don't quote me on this, but I think it said it was all in engine. Right?
No, I think you're right. Yeah. And it looks good. It looked really good.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's kind of this thing is, like, it's a good use of the technology, too. They're using satellites and they mentioned an AI and stuff that they were using for it just to like because they're making the whole world. So just like good use of technology that I don't think we've seen before for video games, at least not on this scale.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we've ever seen it for video games even off of this scale. So I like that use of it. It's unique.
I agree. But
and it's something that we can say
really
is
beautiful,
unique, and it's a sequel.
It's a sequel?
Which doesn't happen. The Windows Flight Simulator was a big thing in like the 90s, early 2000s, but it was not good looking. It was a game that dads played. That was it. It wasn't like a video game. It was just like, oh, I want to fly a plane. I guess I can get in on this game.
I never got my flight license.
Yeah, it was one of those things. But this one, like, I could see me like dipping into it, especially because it's going to be on Game Pass. So if I have Game Pass, it's free. Why not?
Yeah. I think that's all we have to say on that, right?
Yeah. Do you have a Double Fine's acquisition or a Psychonauts next?
I do not.
Yeah, I knew I had to get you on that one. All right. So they showed Microsoft talked about acquiring Double Fine, which a lot of people think is a really big deal, and I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah.
So Double Fine is the creators of like Grim Fandango, Psychonauts, Broken Age, Brutal Legend, a lot of games like that. But they haven't made a good game since Brutal Legend back in like early 2000s or something like that.
And
so,
when did Psychonauts 1 come out?
I believe 04 or 05.
Yeah, so like this is definitely one of those like, oh wow, we're coming back after all these years. Kind of like the Incredibles 2 coming out way after Incredibles 1.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to Psychonauts 2. Like, I like Psychonauts 1 a lot. This one looks fine. I actually don't have anything to say about the trailer itself because it just wasn't enough. It was a lot of things we've seen before in some level or another.
Yeah.
But
our friend,
just the acquisition.
Our friend said that it kind of looked like a 2005 game in terms of graphics. Do you think that's the style that they're going for?
Well, it looks like a Tim Burton movie to me, but that's what Psychonauts 1 looked like, so.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Now that I made the Incredibles and Incredibles 2 little connection, do you think that this game, since it's made so long after the first one, is going to kind of follow the same format as the first game, with only slightly tweaked story narratives and stuff?
Well, have you ever played the first Psychonauts?
I have not.
So what Psychonauts is, it's a platformer kind of game. Yeah, it's platformer, but what you do is you go into other people's minds, and you're basically like in their dreams and stuff. So every level is really weird and really different. And I think you could do that for so many games because the levels are going to be so different. Like, there's ones where you're jumping around in a circus, or you're like helping a milkman terrorist like destroy the Girl Scouts, and just like weird things like that. There's one where you're just like running away from a monster bowl for a matador, and just keep doing weird things. And what we saw in this one was a dentist, and you're like jumping on teeth, and you're floating around, you're chasing him as he runs away because he's hiding from some monster thing. Just like, just keep doing weird things, and it should feel fine.
Sounds like a pretty psycho game, am I right?
Aha! But yeah, I don't think if it does follow the same path, I don't know if that's a bad thing for me. But
I feel like it's acceptable for things that have sequels come out like almost 2 decades after the first game came out, where it's okay that they follow the similar narrative structure or gameplay structure, as long as it's like on the same level, you know?
Yeah. Oh, something about that, like 2-decade sequels and stuff like that. We're going to have a lot of those. I don't know if you knew they were 2-decade sequels, so I'm going to be bringing those up as we go. But that was a definite theme this year, is just series revivals.
Yeah.
Which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I don't think I pointed out any of those, so you definitely bring them up.
Yes, I will. I wrote notes. I have the years and everything. I wrote those notes just to be safe. The years of the last one came out.
All right.
Of course, they didn't for this one, but...
Yeah, that's all for Psychonauts 2, though, right?
Yeah, and now we can get into... well, you go. You may actually have something I don't.
My next one is Lego Star Wars.
That is the right one. All right.
All right.
Yes, I also have Lego Star Wars.
This came out of left field, and it's arguably the more hype Star Wars game for me.
Yeah, I would agree, actually. It's the more hype Star Wars trailer for me, at least.
Because I grew up playing Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga for like the first 6 movies on my DS. And seeing this with all 9 movies, and 9 including the new Skywalker movie, right? Episode 9?
Yeah, it's gonna be the first. It's gonna be this. It's called Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker
Saga.
Skywalker Saga. So it's gonna be those 9 mainline movies. So not Rogue One, not Solo, but the mainline.
Does that mean we're gonna get Solo and Rogue One DLC?
DLC, or maybe they had like a Indiana Jones little secret one in the old one, so maybe they'll do a little secret Rogue One or Solo thing.
Maybe.
Who knows?
But honestly, this came out of left field for me, and it kind of, now that I'm thinking about it actually, even though it appeals to me more than Jedi Fallen Order, which does look good, don't get me wrong. Do you think they'll do the exact same thing that they did with Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga for the first 6 movies, and they'll just be like, didn't they actually make the new sequels into a Lego game too?
Yeah, so they made 7 a sequel. I don't know if they ever did 8, actually. I don't think they did The Last Jedi, but Force Awakens has a game that is just The Force Awakens.
So
just a 1-movie game.
Do you think that they'll do episodes 1 through 7 all the same, and it's just like a port with included 8 and 9 gameplay?
Well, here's the thing. 7, what 7 did was it... Well, actually, no, I'll go back. I can get to that. So I looked online, and apparently it's going to be a remake entirely of all 7 of the first games. So it's all new stuff with that to keep it all more connected. But the other thing they're doing to show it's more of a remake, Episode 7's game used clips from the movie for the audio. So it didn't have like... It had not really like audio jokes in the same way that some of the newer ones does. It's done a custom script. Whereas this one looked like it had no voice acting again. So that would mean that all those cutscenes wouldn't work. So they're doing everything over again for 7, I would guess, from the levels to the story and the jokes and all that. So,
for a Lego game,
yeah.
For a Lego game, I thought it looked really good.
And the jokes were funny. The jokes they had there were pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, that's definitely my. It came out of left field. It was a surprise, and I was expecting the next game that I have on my list. But then this came up, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, well, another thing, too, just as far as Lego games go, I still play the Lego games here and there, and we have not had this no voice acting slapstick thing that I think people loved the original Legos games for since, I want to say, Indiana Jones 2, Lego Indiana Jones 2. It stopped with the Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, and we haven't gone back to it.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's nice going back to that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that because I think the jokes are funnier that way. I don't think they're necessarily... The Lego people are great with comedic dialogue, but I think they're pretty good with just slapstick and that kind of stuff. So I'm excited. As we saw in this trailer, they're good with slapstick.
But that's all I have to say about it. Do you have anything else to say about it?
Yeah, no, that's all I got. I'm excited for it, and I'm probably gonna pick it up for sure. Actually.
All right. So the next one, it was revealed after Lego Star Wars, is Dragon Ball Project Z.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
I'm going to let you handle this.
It actually got retitled from Dragon Ball Project Z into Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which, the name isn't bad. It's better than Dragon Ball Z Goku, and considering I like Dragon Ball Super Broly as a movie, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot isn't too terrible of a name, and it's kind of like a trend, so hopefully it lives up to the hype. But I actually want to talk more about the trailer itself and the gameplay interview that we got from IGN on my own time, because I can actually look in depth with what they're doing, and I kind of want to just explain stuff. But for now, with you and me, I kind of want to just see what your thoughts are on it, and then kind of talk about that.
All right, and I have a few questions for you too that I think we can ask here. But the thing that stands out to me is the visuals look really good. I saw a lot of people talking about how it wasn't Fighter Z level and all that stuff. And it's I think it may be one of the best looking Dragon Ball games, not counting Fighter Z. It's still a really good looking game.
Even it still looks really good, even from the trailer, particularly the Frieza fight. All those ki blasts flying around, it looks visually interesting. And you can't really compare a 2D fighting game to a 3D open world RPG game in terms of, like, visual appeal. I mean, sure, they should look the same, but one has more dedication to it, and the other is just trying to get you the feel of the entire world as opposed to just the characters.
Yeah. The combat we didn't get too much of, but we saw little snippets. I like the focus on Nappa, but that's because for some reason I'm a Nappa fan, even without a bridge. It was just like, I just liked his movesets in the older games, like Tenkaichi 3. It was just, for some reason, Nappa jives with me, so I like that stuff.
They actually showed more of the combat, like straight-up combat, in the IGN interview, where it was Goku and Piccolo going up against Raditz.
Yeah.
And, sorry, excuse me. It wasn't as fast-paced as it was in the trailer, which is a given. Because we saw, him going up against Nappa for like 0.3 seconds, and then
a few frames, and then him dodging Frieza for a few frames, and that's it.
And we actually kind of saw him going up against Great Ape Vegeta, which we haven't seen boss battles of that level ever since Ultimate Tenkaichi, and we actually haven't.
I was gonna say Ultimate Tenkaichi.
Yeah, and I don't really know how they're gonna do it. Is it gonna be dedicated to boss battles, or is it gonna be like, oh look, there's a big guy just there? I don't know. It's kind of like a whole weird thing.
Yeah, no, I'd like to. Now, a question for you, and you may have the answers for this. Do we know if this is going to have any Dragon Ball or any Super, or is it just Z? Because it is, you said Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
They actually kind of answered this in the interview, but they kind of dodged the question like they did with most of the questions. They said it is called Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. So people are like, is this only going to go through the Saiyan Saga and the Frieza Saga? Which people are like, I don't want to buy it if it's just those two sagas. And to me, I would still personally buy it if it was just those two sagas, but they said it is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and the IGN interviewer asked if they were going to have other characters be playable instead of just Goku, and of course they dodged that question too, so obviously we're going to be able to play as more than just Goku.
Alright, well then I have two theoretical questions for you, just like things that you have no like evidence to back up. I just want your opinion on it.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going all the way to the end of Z? Do you think we're fighting Kid Buu?
That actually kind of goes in what you just barely asked, and they do have... They're not going to do Dragon Ball, but they're going to have like little Easter eggs going to Dragon Ball. And I don't know...
I saw a little bit of that Easter egg from the IGN footage. Some Easter eggs.
Yeah, and I think the guy asked if they were going to go into Super, but before I go into that, the Kid Buu thing, they said that it is Dragon Ball Z, so they will go past the Frieza saga most likely, but right now it's not confirmed.
Yeah.
And so they'll probably go into Kid Buu, and if they want to do DLC storylines, they might do some of Super, or you know how they had the Battle of Gods and Fukatsu no F be Dragon Ball Z movies? They might still do that.
Alright, and then one last question that you have no evidence to back up. I just want your take, what you think's going to happen. Do you think in the Buu saga we'll be playing through the Gohan stuff, or since it's Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, do you think we're just going to go to like the Majin Vegeta versus Heavenly Goku and then just go past that and go that route? Or do you think we'll still have the Gohan and the Gotenks and all that stuff?
Well, that's the thing, because like, you know how I kind of talked to you about this a little bit. When I was watching the IGN footage, they have the character HUD and his level like an RPG, but they have the character name too, and in the menu they have party and characters. And so I don't know if it's going to just be like you can play as Goku but have those characters in your party, or if it's like you can switch off and then have Goku in your party. So I don't, honestly, I think I don't want them to skip the Android saga because Goku's basically out of the picture for that stuff.
Yeah.
And
it's one of the better sagas in my opinion. It's at least one of the fan favorites.
To me, I like the Android and Cell sagas. But he's out of the picture for that, and then he's kind of out of the picture for half of the Buu saga because he's dead.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be fair, if it is just a Goku game, straight up Goku, and then you have the characters in your party, it would make sense if it only went to the Frieza saga, because Goku basically doesn't do shit for the rest of the Dragon Ball Z.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know.
He hops in and he saves the day, and then he dips. That's actually a good point, too, just for the Cell games and the whole Gohan thing.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But I don't know. I really hope that
Alright.
they don't skip the last two sagas, because personally, I think that's when it visually becomes interesting, and it would be really great to play in those two sagas, especially from what we saw from the Super Saiyan Goku and Frieza fight. Just all that key stuff coming down, like, you got to give me interesting stuff to look at.
Mm-hmm. All right. Final question. Do you have any word or any idea of if there's going to be any multiplayer, or is it single player only?
I think it's just going to be single player.
All right.
But
It's a good thing I have you to ask these questions. You're the expert.
It hasn't really been confirmed yet, to my knowledge at least. But from the title and from the overall style of the RPG game, since it's not an MMO, it might just be a single player game, and it does focus on fighting, but I don't know if it's going to be like a local drop-in, drop-out type of thing for the party, because you saw in the gameplay, Piccolo was flying next to you the whole time.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right. Well, I think that's all I have to say, but you are the Dragon Ball guy. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we move on?
In terms of Project Z / Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, no. I think that's all I got to talk about in this little podcast.
And, yeah.
'Cause
Look forward to more videos from Innovative J-Dog, though, about the rest of it. You're going to go way in depth.
Yeah, thanks for the plug.
On your own channel, I'll plug you. You're welcome.
I have one more game for Xbox. How many do you have?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right. Well, my last game is what they ended on, so you go until we get to Halo.
All right. So this one actually may have happened before Dragon Ball. Forza Lego.
I actually went AFK for that, so I'm not really...
Yes. So here's how it goes. I can just set the whole stage for you now. I'll let you in on the what happened. So the audience is, everything's blacked out, and then we see this curtain rise on the side of the stage. We see this car illuminate from the background, and then it plays a Forza trailer. And we're like, okay, it's Forza. You see the car, and you see the nice cars driving around, and then all of a sudden in the background you can hear the Lego Movie theme song. Everything is awesome, and then it zooms in, and there's just a bunch of these Lego cars going around with Lego drivers, and they're driving through things. They're like driving through trees, and it's just breaking into bricks and lots of fun stuff. And it's fun to see a company like this have fun like this. The last Forza Horizon game, Forza Horizon 3, had a Hot Wheels DLC, which is kind of similar to this. But this one, I feel like, kind of goes... Like, Hot Wheels is like a more expected weird DLC, whereas Lego, I don't think anyone was like, yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah, because like with Lego games, we were just barely talking about Star Wars. People are like, let's see Lego Marvel versus DC. But now we got Lego Forza. And it's like, well, because this happened right after Project Z, right? I need to stop calling it that. DBZ Kakarot.
I don't know if it happened before or after. I guess it would have had to happen after because you were AFK. Because if it happened before, like, it would have made sense for them to do Lego to Lego. But yeah, I think it did probably happen after.
Yeah, that actually, now that I think about it, that's kind of weird. They went from Lego to Project Z, and then I went AFK to like tweet about it and talk about it and do all that stuff. And I heard it in the background, the Forza stuff, and then the song kicked in. So they went.
I wonder if they just didn't want you to expect that it was Lego, because after the trailer, they go back to the car, and it turns out the car was built out of Legos the whole time. You just couldn't tell it because of the lighting. So I wonder if maybe that's actually why they did it that way.
That's actually kind of a cool reveal, like very shocking. And we always see Forza every year, and they always got that generic, look at this shiny car, we got it in here for E3. But now...
Yeah. And now they're kind of playing with that. It's like, oh, you thought we were going to be this regular thing, this thing we always are. Well, look at you for thinking that. They played on our expectations, which was cool.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't have much to say. Just a little cool thing I just want to touch on a little bit. The next one, and I kind of want to ask you some questions about it because I don't think you have much insight on it, is Phantasy Star Online 2.
I don't remember that game.
So this is the one where there's this. You may have been AFK for it as well, but there's this like giant, like multi-headed boss battle that's like there's like these robot people that are running up it and all this stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it, but
this must have been an AFK one.
From your
Do you know about Phantasy Star at all?
I don't think so.
All right. So, Phantasy Star Online is like it started back on the Sega Saturn, I think. No, that's a different game. It started back on the Dreamcast, and it was an MMO game that like you went to buy Phantasy Star Online, and you got a keyboard for your Sega Dreamcast, and it was this weird game. And it was the first MMO like that was like this. Like it kind of had the World of Warcraft formula before World of Warcraft, and that World of Warcraft really took it off. But this was first. It was a big deal, and that was the first one. And then in 2012, they came up with Phantasy Star Online 2, and they announced it was going to come to the West in 2013. It has not come to the West. It was going to come here in 2013, and they've never said anything about it since they said it was going to be in 2013. Until 2 days ago.
They missed the gap.
Well, not only that, like 2 years ago, Sega just removed it from their website, so everyone's like, this game is dead. The fans of this game who were playing the first one back in the Dreamcast were like, this game is dead, there's no way for me to get it. And since then, they have put it out on Windows, PS4, Switch, iOS, and Android in Japan. Like, it's everywhere. You can get it anywhere you want it there. And then all of a sudden at Xbox, the one console it's not on in Japan, they're like, hey, we have it, and it's coming to the West exclusively through Xbox.
Was it a shadow drop?
It's kind of crazy. It's not a shadow drop. It's coming next year. And it's coming with all content that's previously released, and it's free to play.
Huh. Well, from what you said, like robot fighting, whatever, it sounds cool. Yeah.
So this is really like... This is one of those things that's like, oh, dormant for a while, well, here it is. But this one was announced and then seemingly canceled, delayed, never talked about again. And then it's just like, here's a full demo. I mean, here's full gameplay. Here's the cinematic. It's coming next year. It's all free. We're bringing all the DLC with it. The DLC is gonna be free too. Here you go. And it's just like, whoa, okay.
Well, that's cool for the people that stuck around for it.
So. Then the next one I want to talk about is kind of similar, JRPG thing. Tales of Arise. You were here for this one, I think.
But the name doesn't... this is the thing about writing notes and not having pictures, is I don't remember what they were.
So this was a JRPG game with like a lot of actually gun focus and stuff. And there's a lot of these games called the Tales of series. It's a big thing. There's like Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Berseria. There's animes of all of them. It's in Japan, it's huge. Here, it's not so huge, but which is I guess another reason why it's kind of cool that Xbox got it, because Xbox is not big in Japan. They never put Phantasy Star on there. It's just not that big. So
probably why the other one didn't get an Xbox release until now. Yeah,
it's so. The cool thing about this, though, is most of these games were kind of pretty anime-like. Pretty anime-like. And this one, they kind of went with more of a, like... They still the Japanese style, but it's close to, like, the newer Final Fantasies than it is anime. Like, the other ones were, like, their intros were hand-drawn anime style from, like, the 90s. Like, it was that anime. It was 90s anime style. And all of a sudden, it's just like, hey... We're going realistic anime, and it's just a cool change. Lots of focus on guns, which I don't think there was a big focus on guns before, but I am oh no, there was a few guns. I'm not big on the Tales series, but just thought it was a cool one.
RPG games that have a focus on guns, I think that's a really cool element for them to have.
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often, but I like when it does. After that was Borderlands 3, and Borderlands 2 having a DLC all of a sudden.
I actually... that's probably why I don't remember that one, because I actually came back for Borderlands.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this was the one after that, right after that.
Okay, now I can talk, because I remember this stuff.
Alright, well, I'll have to show you those trailers later, because you might be interested, but for Borderlands 3, I guess you don't play Borderlands, right?
I don't. I've never played a Borderlands game. But I know that at least you were into it at one point. I don't know if you're still, like, super into it.
Um, I've beaten Borderlands 1 once. It was a good game. I got really into Borderlands 2. I beat it again like 2 months ago, back in April. And I got it on launch day. That one I was at midnight release for Borderlands 2. And then the pre-sequel came out, and I've never been able to get past like 5 hours in that game. And I've never played the Telltale game either. So
There's a Telltale game?
There's a Telltale game, and it's considered the best Telltale game by a lot of people. Even people who don't like Borderlands are like, this is the one. And apparently, like, it's really important to Borderlands 3, and I've just like never had any interest in it.
Yeah.
But this trailer, though, I thought it looked really good. It's the best trailer that I've seen for this game. But what were your thoughts on it as someone who's not really a fan?
As someone who's not a fan of Borderlands, or I shouldn't say fan, because I've never really gave it a chance, or I've never played
You're just like a neutral. Yeah, you're like a neutral.
To me, it looked good, but I actually kind of have questions on you, kind of like how you had questions for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think... Actually, wait, did we get any gameplay of this, or was it just trailers?
I believe there was some gameplay. I would be surprised if they didn't have any gameplay, but I have to look back because they have shown a lot of gameplay. They had like 3 days where they just let streamers stream the first couple levels, so the game is very finished in that sense.
What do you think they could improve upon in this game in terms of gameplay?
Well, it sounds like, from what I've heard, I don't have confirmation on this, but it sounds like they're going to add a lot more character customization as far as like levels and skills. Because before, every character had like 3 skill trees, and it sounds like you're getting a lot more than that. Every character had like 1 power that made their class special, and then you'd upgrade that through the skill trees, and now they have, I think, 4 or something like that. So there's just a lot more customization and variety of how you want to play these characters.
Well, I actually, yeah, like I said, I don't have any info or experience with Borderlands, so I'm not one of those people that would just jump in to like the 3rd game in the series.
Yeah.
But it looked good for the trailer.
But then they had Borderlands 2 and I think Defense with Commander Lilith or something like that. And this is a DLC that's going to bridge both 2 and 3, the storylines. It raises the level cap in the game, and it lets you start a character at level 30s, so you can just get all the skill points, and then you can play New Game Plus. And that's all cool stuff. It also has a lot of quality of life stuff beyond that. But the big thing is, it released that day, and it released for free.
Oh yeah?
And that's pretty big. I have it downloaded. I haven't played it yet, but I hear that's good. So I'm interested in that, and it's just cool to see free stuff being dropped that day. I always like to see that. That's like one of my favorite things at E3, and we didn't have a lot of it this year, so.
Yeah, I think my main thing with the Borderlands games are I like the cover art, which that doesn't have anything to do with the game, but the cover art has always had that little appeal, and it's like edgy appeal.
Yeah. But it's self-aware edgy, like you said.
Yeah, kind of like the Deadpool and the Bleeding Edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I want to say for that one. Just some cool stuff. The best trailer, like I said, for this game. And then I wanted to talk about Elden Ring. I don't know if you remember this game by name, but
I actually do because it has Ring in the title. I said that it was a Lord of the Rings game, but it turns out that it's not.
Now, Elden Ring is the next game by the guy who made Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Sekiro.
So you think that this is going to be on that level of difficulty of those games?
I think it will, but one of the coolest parts about it, so he's consistent. He's pretty good at what he does. He's pretty consistent. And the person creating the world for this game is George R.R. Martin of A Song of Ice and Fire.
So that's
a weird collaboration there.
Huh.
Between 2 guys who are very famous for dark fantasy in 2 very different mediums.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what makes that game really cool to me. We didn't see anything beyond cinematics, so I can't really judge too much of what this game will be, but the people behind it are like some of the best in their field of the people that you would want behind a dark fantasy game.
Yeah, to me, now that you mentioned that it's a Dark Souls esque game, that actually fits perfectly, because I thought it was going to be like a Lord of the Rings style type game, and a Lord of the Rings style type game would actually work well under those developers.
Yeah, it would work well with them. Whatever we see, we'll see. There are a few things different, like in Dark Souls, isn't really any other like races of people. It's all like humans, and then you just have people who have been corrupted, basically. Whereas this one, we actually see like an orc guy get burned alive and some other stuff. So there is some variety that we're seeing there that comes from George R. R. Martin and all that stuff. So I'm interested to see what we get. But there's not a lot to say.
I don't really have anything to say on it. I just thought it was a Lord of the Rings game.
Well, now you know. And then my final thing before Halo Infinite, which I'm surprised you didn't write down, is the Project Scarlett.
The actual console?
The actual console, yes. And I don't want to talk about specs or all that stuff, but what I want to really get to is we now have pretty much a idea of when this console generation ends and the next one starts because of this. And
when is that?
So holiday next year is when these Project Scarlet is going to come out. So we're starting the next gen at the latest next year during the holiday season.
So you think that Project Scarlet, they're going to talk more about that next year, and we're going to see, since Sony comes back next year, we're going to see PlayStation 5 and probably even Spider-Man PS4 too, or I should probably call it Spider-Man PS5.
Or just Spider-Man 2, except for them be confusing there as well.
Yeah.
I think, next year is just the big console blowout. It's all the things to be like, hey, buy this game. And we already saw Xbox starting that with like, hey, guys, we have Halo Infinite launching with it for the 18th anniversary or whatever. So I think we're seeing kind of what they want to do with it. The start of the console wars to buy those opening sales. Because that console war thing, like this opening little like first impression is a big thing. Like, if you don't recall, the last time when Xbox One started, like, they were talking about how you couldn't like share games anymore and all that stuff, and it was more expensive than the PlayStation. And because of that, PlayStation just won right out the gate, and they haven't stopped winning. So
did they say that Project Scarlet was just the working title of the console, or was it actually what it was going to be called?
Yeah, it's just the working title. The Xbox One X was called the Project Scorpio, and they came out and said it was Project Scorpio originally as well, so a lot like this.
Yeah.
So I expect we'll see a different name. Though I'd be okay with Xbox Scarlet. That sounds like a cool name.
That does sound cool. I figured it was a working title, but then I saw people talk about it on Twitter, and they were like, Project Scarlet, that's a stupid name. And I was like, well, is it actually, did they say it? Because I don't think I was paying attention all that well.
No, yeah, it's not the name for the finishing name, though I could see them dropping the project part and just being the Scarlet.
Yeah, they kind of had a lot of stuff after all the games were revealed. I think that's what they do, is during their conferences, they reveal all the games to draw people in, and then when they're like, what's next? They're like, hey, we're going to do this new console, and here's our Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for $15.
Yeah. Oh, and I kind of want to talk about that, actually. Well, I'll talk about that later. There's something else I want to connect it to, so that'll be later, after Xbox.
Okay.
But
in terms of the console,
I like the stuff we heard about the console, but I don't want to get too much into specs because I don't really know that much about the specs, so I'm not the guy to go for with it all.
Yeah, I'm sure if we had like the actual video that they showed off of the power of the console and the cost of the console, we would have more to say on it. But just going off of what we have right now, it is a cool working title. The current generation of games is coming to an end, which it sucks because I bought a PlayStation 4 for just Spider-Man. Now I gotta get another one.
But you know what? Looking at all these games, like this is a theme that we're seeing a lot this year. Is most of the things we saw this year at E3 is a 2020 release. So that last year of this generation is going to be a big one, like Cyberpunk before. And a lot of them are just huge games that are coming out next year.
And even though we didn't write the launch dates or the release dates for all these games, there are a lot of games coming out next year. And
like Ori as well, now I think about it.
Yeah. And they're like all in the March to May range. So like,
yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Like my wallet is going to be empty.
Yeah, and then I think we can get to the big final game of the conference.
Halo
Infinite.
Yeah. So what did you think about Halo?
Honestly, I think the trailer would have been better if we didn't know it was Halo right away. Like, it was fine.
They kind of did a good thing, making it seem like it wasn't Halo.
But we knew it was Halo, which is the issue. But then, like, as we're going through the trailer, it's just like, imagine if we didn't know what it was, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, UNSC Pelican calling in, and it's like, oh, people who know Halo are like, oh, wait, is this Halo? And then he clears the thing, and you see Master Chief immediately after that. It's like, oh, it's Halo.
Yeah.
Like, they could have had that reveal, but instead we're just like, where's Chief? When is he going to show up?
I actually really like what they did with the trailer, because they're making it, I don't know if it's actually going to happen in the game. It might just be a generic Halo shooter, which is fine. Halo's good.
Mm-hmm.
But they're making this seem like it's more of a story-driven Halo.
Yeah, Halo 1, 2, and 3 had a lot of story, but then... Oh, and Reach. But then after that, 343 has taken the reins, and 4 and 5... 5 especially is known for like having a really not good story. 4 is inconsistent with the prior ones, because the original ones were really good. But then 5, the last one, is just... not very good. But this one, yeah, very story-focused.
Yeah.
No gameplay, which is surprising, because we actually saw a little bit of gameplay, I think, in the trailer last year. We saw Warthog driving around, and that looked like gameplay.
Yeah, I thought he was going to jump out of the ship at the end of the trailer, and then boom, gameplay. But nope, they just ended it.
Which is actually even weirder, because they're talking about how Halo was the thing to show off the Project Scarlett and how great it is, and they don't show off what it's going to look like. So it's like, oh, it's just to show off this thing that we don't know what it's showing off. We don't know what that is. Is this impressive? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So...
But
yeah, I think it was a good trailer. I've watched it again, and it looks good the second time. I liked it more the second time. The first time, it's just kind of like, all right, I know this is Halo, so why are we just playing around? Where's the gameplay? Where's Chief? And then when you know that's not coming, it's a better trailer. But I think that also would have made it better if we didn't know that was coming.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like that this is Halo is being more story driven, and yeah, that's basically all I have to say about it.
Yeah. So, before we move on to Bethesda, and I actually kind of want to go back to EA for a second, too, what did you think of the Xbox press conference this year?
Like, what would I rate it? Or what was my overall thing on it?
Yeah, your overall impression, your rating, either or?
I think, since we kind of skimmed over it on EA, let's do the ratings at the end of the podcast, but at the end of each conference... Let's just give what we thought about it instead of the actual numbers. Like, you know what I'm saying?
All right. Yeah, sure.
So, like,
all right.
Ratings, they're just going to have to wait until the end of the podcast to hear that. But
so stick around, folks.
What I thought of it, there was a lot of games, and to me, this was the outlier in the first 4 conferences that we had of E3.
Yeah, I think Xbox
was the best until...
is probably second place for me.
Overall, I would say Xbox is... Well, that's the thing. Like, we haven't...
We'll get into it when we get to ratings, I guess.
We haven't talked about Nintendo yet. And Nintendo had games that I didn't really care about all that much, but what they did have that I cared about a lot. But Xbox had more games that I was like, hey, I'll check that out. So it's kind of like even, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but for Xbox, I think it was good. A lot, just game. It wasn't a lot of waiting, which I like that.
And they always do that, so.
Yeah, they've gotten good at it, for sure. Yeah, just some surprises in there for sure. Like, I think Blair Witch actually may be the most surprising, that and seeing Keanu Reeves.
To me,
were the 2 big surprises.
I would say Project Z, or DBZ Kakarot, is my most surprising, but I already knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, I knew that you were anticipating it, so it was cool to see it there. I don't know how, like, oh my gosh, it's here.
My most shocking was Lego Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one, too. And then just want to retroactively go back to what you thought of the EA before we head to the next one.
And EA was ass.
It was awful.
I shouldn't say ass, because, I mean, they did do... This whole EA and E3 conference was all over the place, because I feel like Sony dropping out just left open a whole vacuum of shit going out. And sorry, I got kids watching my stuff, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. How did it compare to last year's for you? I don't know how much you remember last year, but
last year,
you know that the format was different. Yeah.
EA last year was better. I would have preferred, because I mean, well, it's like EA last year was an actual conference, And I know that this year wasn't a conference. It was like a stream all weekend long.
Yeah.
But for what we saw, that was not good enough.
No, it wasn't. Because the games they were showing they didn't deserve 30 minutes. We didn't have as much questions. Like Star Wars, we had questions, and then after 15 minutes, it's like, oh, okay, this is all you're going to show me. You're not going to answer that question. We're just going to go straight with this one scene forward.
We had questions, but they didn't answer us. And I appreciate that they tried to give each game a 30-minute spotlight, but it's like Star Wars, yeah, that deserves 30 minutes, and you didn't explain to us all that much, even though they kind of did. But
well, like, what if they had like lightsaber customization and they were showing like other places you go into this one location instead of just like, we're just gonna play this level and we're just gonna go for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
and we're just gonna see how that goes. It's like, you could show us in a way that'd be more entertaining. Like I would say, Square Enix did it for 2 games. We won't get into that too much, but I think they did that same format better. They just kept showing things, and it was more interesting by the end of it.
Yeah, and I posted the IGN interview on my channel so people could see it for Dragon Ball Project Z. I need to stop calling it that. But
I'll catch you next time. I'll make sure you say Kakarot. I got you.
But someone commented saying, why are they asking questions that they know they aren't going to get the answer to? And that's kind of what happened in Star Wars. They were asking questions that they kind of already knew the answer to.
But at the same time, I'd rather get the answer. I'd rather them try to get the answers than just not asking questions and just giving us info that we already have, right?
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, like I'm saying, EA was fine for what they were doing. It's just they were all over the place, and we didn't watch all of EA. So from what we saw, because we only saw EA before the Nintendo tournaments.
So we saw Star Wars, Apex, and Battlefield.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk about Apex. Apex was boring, which I'm sure some people are going to hate me for saying that, but Apex...
I play Apex, and it was boring, dude. Don't worry about it. Like, that was not that good.
But they just dedicated 30 minutes to games that didn't need 30 minutes. I liked that they gave them a spotlight, but Apex should have been like 10 minutes.
Well, then after we left, it was Madden. They didn't show anything other than a beta, and then there was FIFA, and they didn't show anything other than a 2-minute trailer, which was half live action actually, and not even like live action soccer. It was just people like partying and hanging out. And then they did another 30 minutes of The Sims, and it was one DLC trailer. Like that's it. And it's The Sims can't do 30 minutes. It's a 5-year-old game, man.
Yeah.
FIFA can't do 30 minutes. It doesn't change that much. Madden can't do 30 minutes. It doesn't change that much.
Yeah.
And Apex obviously couldn't do 30 minutes either.
So yeah, ratings, we're going to give our ratings at the end of the podcast with the rest of the conferences, but at the end of each little discussion, we're going to be like, hey, EA was shit, Xbox was good, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and then we can go to Bethesda.
Yeah, but before we go on to Bethesda, we kind of been recording for an hour. I just want to make sure, is your Audacity still running?
Yep, we are all good on my end.
Alright, so now we can go to Bethesda. And I'll let you start with Bethesda because I'm sure we got to open it up great.
I cannot do this in order of how everything happened. So we're just going to go all over the place.
Should we just go with the games first and then let you rant at the end? Or do you want to rant first and then go to the games?
We can just go with this, I guess. It's going to start out in order and then I'm going to mess it all up because I just have a lot to complain about and I want to get all that out at the front.
Alright, so my first game is Fallout 76. What's yours?
Elder Scrolls Blades.
Alright, I'll let you talk about... Wait, should we talk about Fallout first?
Elder Scrolls Blades was first, but yeah, we can talk about Fallout.
With Bethesda, let's start off with my rant and then end with your rant. Fallout 76. I said this with Bleeding Edge. Guys, stop with the battle royales. It's cool, it's fine, people love them, but come on.
Didn't it feel like an attempt to revive a dead game too? Like it's like this isn't really what they were going for this whole time, but it's like, well, we gotta get players in here, so just throw Battle Royale in it.
Yeah, and I will say Nuclear Winter is a cool name though. But it's just, hey, you're attaching a cool name to a genre that has been oversaturated within the last year. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's syndrome all over again, and it's like, I just want to see more of the survival and the 4v4, just smaller scale stuff, not having, we're going to stockpile all these people in and then have them fight. Because it's lazy, in my opinion. Even though it's cool, it's fun to play, it's just lazy from... Here's what I think. Kind of like what Battlefield was doing. It's a lazy excuse to have expansions on your already established game, you know?
Well, it's not lazy to have... Oh, you mean lazy to do a Battle Royale as an expansion?
It's lazy, like, yeah, I'm saying it's not lazy to have a new mode or anything.
I thought you were just saying it's lazy to do expansions. I'm like, well, I don't know if I agree with this.
Yeah, it's. I think it's lazy that they, instead of having another mode come in, it's lazy to call it a mode, and then, I mean, sure, it's free, but... Okay, actually, that kind of just demeans my whole rant, because it's free.
Yeah, it's free, but
it's bad.
It's just trying to get people back into it. So is it my time to rant now?
Do you want to rant now, or do you want to... Oh, wait, we're going to Elder Scrolls. Yeah, you can rant.
I'm going to talk about a lot of things that you may not talk about.
My next one is Ghostwire, so you can rant until we get to that.
My only thing to talk about other than the rant is Ghostwire.
Oh,
I'm leaving Tomb to you.
Then you can do your thing, and then we can talk about Ghostwire.
Alright, so this was just a conference of like denial and ego and just like talking about how great they were, right? Yeah. So we opened the conference and it's just like, hey guys, we have one of the best communities of all time in Fallout 76. We had some problems at first, but now like it's amazing. And it's like, I don't think so. And they talk about how like Elder Scrolls Blade is this amazing game. It's already like our second it's our second most played game. And it's like, well, that's out of 3, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, people don't like this game. People are actively saying how bad this game is and how monetization works, that it's just not fun to play. And then they go further on and they talk about another mobile game, their second mobile game in this conference. They're like, hey, so we have this old franchise that some people love called Commander Keen, and we're going to bring it back as a mobile game. And we saw some gameplay when it was zoomed out, and it looks bad. It's just like, why do we still have this? Why?
Commander Keen was another game?
It was an old like adventure game in the 90s, I believe.
Huh.
And this is the first one. So yeah, again about the revivals. This is the first one in almost, I think, 30 years, and it is bad.
I know that Commander Keen shocked a lot of people because like they were like, "Whoa, this is a kitty-looking game," and then they swore in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that wasn't my thing. And then later on, they bring out Fallout Shelter, and it's like, oh, another mobile game, our third mobile game. And now that one's a little bit smaller because all they're like is, hey, we have the 250 million or whatever it is players, and it's just like, oh, that's cool, but why are you here? And it turns out there's no reason it's here. They just want to brag about how many players they have.
Yeah, they
go to Elder Scrolls Legends, and it's their 4th mobile game.
And just for the record, so I don't get hate, I was actually kind of surprised by everyone booing. I mean, they didn't actually boo, because like you said, they probably paid people to sit in the audience.
There was a lot of cheering the whole time.
But I was kind of caught off guard with how you felt about Todd Howard, because I didn't know what he did from last E3 to now.
Yeah, he just kind of lies a lot. And then they go and talk about Rage 2, and they're like, we have this great game, everyone's loving it, and they show these review scores, and I looked it up just before this, and it has a 7.0 average review. Like, that is, it gets a lot lower, it gets some higher, and it averages out at about a 7 out of 10. Like, that's not this amazing game that everyone's giving these great reviews for, and they're talking about how great all this stuff is. And then between all them showing these games, between all that, they keep cutting into people being like, wow, Bethesda saved my life. Bethesda games are the best. And it's just like... And they actually open the conference by saying, like, so we're going to have, to show us how much we love the community, we're going to have fans of these games come on up and talk about things that, like talk about all this stuff, just to give a spotlight to the fans, and all the fans are talking about was like Bethesda's the best, and it's like, oh, it's not a spotlight on the fans, it's the fans being used to put a spotlight on Bethesda again, and talk about how great they are and how they make them the best games. It's like, you've shown me 4 mobile games. You're talking about Rage 2, which just did okay, and talking about how it's so great, and then you're talking about Fallout 76, which is awful, and you keep pretending like it's not.
Yeah, there was.
They didn't even apologize for it. They're just like, we made a little hiccup, but we're better now. And it's just like, no, you lied to people. With the collector's edition, people bought the collector's edition, and it came with this canvas bag, and so everyone's like, oh, cool, canvas bag. Well, at least I can use that. And they sent a plastic bag instead of a canvas bag, and they still haven't fixed that.
Wow.
Like, they lie, and they don't apologize for it, and they didn't hear. They had everyone here, and all they're like is like, we have some hiccups, but here's some fans to tell you how great we are, and here's some mobile games that people don't like, and here's some games that are bad that we're going to tell you people are raving about and how great it is. And it's like, it's not. It's not this great.
Yeah, there was a lot of mobile games in this conference, and like mobile game after mobile game after mobile game. And do you think they did those little segments in between games as filler with the people coming on and saying, I love Bethesda and all that stuff? Do you think they did it because they didn't have that much to talk about? And do you think they did it because of the feedback that they got from Fallout 76?
I think they wanted that good PR. I think it was filler, and I just think it was a lot of like, hey guys, remember why you love us? And it's just like, I can't while you're telling me to love you while you're talking about the things that you did yesterday and not saying, like, they didn't say sorry, they didn't apologize, they didn't own up to it all. It's just like, we had a few hiccups, and that's what happens, guys, but there's a lot of hardworking people on these games, so here's something else. It's just like, all you had to do was just say, hey, we messed up, here's our next game. Like, they just had to say, hey, we messed up, that's it. That's all they need to do, and they didn't acknowledge it at all. They're just like, guys, we're the best.
Yeah.
What's up?
But that's what I'm saying. Do you think like they only did that because of Fallout 76, and they're like, we don't want you guys to go because we made a mistake. We're not going to apologize for it. We just want you to realize that we actually care. Or do you think they wouldn't have done it if Fallout 76 was like really good?
I don't think they would have needed to, right?
Yeah.
Like,
they wouldn't have needed to, but do you think that their ego would have been big enough that they would have done it? Like every year, we pointed out that they start out every year by saying, I work at Bethesda. This is my dream job, which that's fine. It's their thing.
They do it every year, but this was the year where they're like, and fans are talking about how it's the best too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of scummy. I don't know why they did it, but I do think there's a potential chance that it's because of how much backlash they got. It's like, no, guys, we're good. Remember that you love us. And it's like, that's hard to do right now.
Yeah. I agree with what you said. They should have apologized for it, but not like overly apologize and make it seem like they were the worst things to exist. Because I mean, yeah, everybody makes mistakes. It was just a game, and you happened to tie it into Fallout 76. But
well, so I don't want to get into it too much, but at Nintendo, they do a delay for Animal Crossing, and they said sorry afterwards. Back,
yeah, they said sorry and then segued
year.
it into another game.
Yeah. Late last year, they put out a whole little not direct, they just put out like a 10-minute message being like, hey guys, this is Metroid Prime 4, we don't like the way it's going, so we're canning all the development, and we're getting a whole new team on it and starting from scratch to make you a good game, and we're sorry about how much longer that's going to take, but we want to give you a good game. It's like, oh, you owned up to it, and we're moving on. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that, and you owned up to it. That's
and
cool.
I don't want to seem like
we're the best.
I don't want to seem like a Nintendo fanboy, even though I do like Nintendo a lot. But they are really good with their community relations, and I'm sure we all know that Reggie helped out with that. But even now that Reggie's gone, they're still keeping up good community relations. And that's always something that they've excelled at. But with Bethesda, it's like they want to have the same community relations as Nintendo, where it's like, hey, we're all friends here, but then instead of acting like they're actually sorry, they're at the end of the day, they're a business.
Oh, well, like another thing, so Nintendo put on the tournaments. They flew people out because they're like, hey, we're about the fans. They fly people out to do this tournament and just like, hey, guys, play this game and all that stuff. And then you have Bethesda just recording people and to tell them how they're great. And then you can look at like Microsoft. last year they had like the adaptive controller for people who can't play video games because of like different issues they have, and it's just like we have it saying that you can adapt the buttons to however you need to make it work.
Yeah,
like that's for the community, and that's not going to make them a lot of money. They're not making money off of that really at all, other than
it's
the
just
few people who are going to buy it.
But
it's
they
just
did
a
it.
good thing to do.
They did it because it's at the end of the day, we're all, even though they're a business and we're the consumer, they still care about us, and I'm sure Bethesda still does care about us. It's just they're blinded by how much they've been hyped up by the public and how much their games are so great that they want to keep that image and not let it be soaked by Fallout 76's poor reception, you know?
But then they keep bringing it up. It's like, here's an expansion, here's a new mode, here's this, and also we had the best player base. And it's just like,
it's like let it die, let it die,
let it die.
Say sorry, and then we'll buy the next Fallout if it's good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if it's good. Not that I haven't played Fallout that much, but you know.
Yeah. But that's all for my rant. Really, it's just like they needed to do better. It was just a lot of them talking about how they're the best and how that's not like they didn't really own up to any mistakes they've made, which I think they kind of needed to.
Yeah.
But that's all I had to say, really.
Nuclear Winter is a cool name for the Battle Royale, though. Which, I'm not going to go back into that rant, but by the way, if you want to make a good Fallout game, don't follow trends. Make it a Fallout game.
Well, that was another thing, too, when they were bringing this game out. It was like, we were doing multiplayer only. It's like, oh, can you play single player? It's like, well, no. but what they say is like, well, you can do your own server and there'll just be no players in there, which wasn't even true until months later. They added that because people were backlashing. It's just like,
yeah,
they lie. And after last year, I'm kind of over it. Like before, like they lied, but it was like, oh, but there's still good games, and maybe there was just like missed potential and blah blah blah. Whereas last year was just like, it's kind of clear you guys just know that this is bad news you're giving, so you're just like, oh well, you can do whatever you want. Go.
Yeah, I agree. But that's all for our rants, right?
Yeah, for this one at least.
Do you have any games before Ghostwire, or can we go right into it?
Go to Ghostwire.
All right, Ghostwire Tokyo. Sounds interesting. It's a new IP. The lady that came out, she's the designer for Okami and Bayonetta, right?
No. That is going to be the guy who worked on Astral Chain, did Okami, Bayonetta, and Devil May Cry.
Oh, but I feel like I remember hearing that she had a role in those games.
Oh, okay. I can say right now, the guy who came out for this game, he did Resident Evil 1 and 4. So he has some horror background. He did Evil Within 1 and 2. So he definitely has some background in this kind of stuff. So
yeah. I don't really have much to say about it.
For sure.
I don't have much to say about it aside from it looking cool. And
the trailer was real good.
You can go on, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the trailer was really good.
Oh. It reminded me a lot of Endgame with the people disappearing just out of nowhere.
And then an archer comes into Japan out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I was like, is this a Ronin game? Is this Hawkeye?
I watched the trailer again this morning, and did you notice the like monster that's in there for like just a little bit until the archer guy takes him out?
I don't remember.
There is a creepy monster that you only see for like half a second, and he's like kind of obscured by light, but if you look at him, he's freaky looking, dude. It's crazy.
I'll have to rewatch the trailer after this podcast and look at it.
It's worth it, trust me.
But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make a joke now. Spoilers alert for Avengers, the Square Enix game. Maybe this is where Hawkeye's at, because he's not in that game. Yeah. And you're right. We'll talk about that later, but I'll make this comment again when we talk about Avengers, so we can talk about that.
But yeah, this was the best game they showed off, as far as I'm concerned. Like it just
and it's a new IP, so new IPs are always cool.
New IP, cool setting, cool looking characters. Like the character designs, there was those guys like wearing the traditional Japanese straw hats with like those weird lights coming down on them. Like there's just a lot of cool designs going through, and the people behind it, like you said, like they have like the credentials, and they seem like cool people, so you kind of want to support them, right?
Yeah, but we didn't get to see much except for the trailer, and
yeah, not any gameplay.
The next game I have is Wolfenstein. Did you write that down?
No, I am done with Bethesda already.
Oh, you're already done?
I am done, dude.
I have 3 more games, and they're just like those little Slayer marks.
All right.
So the first one is Wolfenstein Youngblood, and
Mhm.
I am fine with Wolfenstein. My dad used to play the old Wolfenstein game on his old computer when he was a kid, I think.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's cool. I liked the music in the trailer. The trailer was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've played the first Wolfenstein. I wasn't really into it, so it's hard for me to get attached to these ones. But I did like that. Isn't it a co-op one because there's 2 main characters?
I think so.
Pretty sure it's co-op.
I haven't played it in a
I
long
like that.
time.
I like that this one, this new one's a co-op one, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And it takes place far in the future, like 20 years after the last one, because you're following the daughters of the main character in Wolfenstein, BJ Blazkowicz. So I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not too into it.
Nothing really
Myself.
much about Wolfenstein. And then the next game was that Deathloop game. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do remember that. It's just not enough to write it down for myself, but I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it.
I wouldn't have written it down if they didn't bring up the idea of respawning into the story, you know? Like, you die and then you're... Excuse me. You die and you're back at that one spot. Like, respawning is something that's always been a part of video games, but it's like, hey, we're working it into the story, and I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a cool trailer, all things considered. It wasn't as cool as Ghostwire for me, but it was still pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they're both new IPs, which is also cool.
Doom Eternal. This was probably the highlight for me. Actually, no, it was the second highlight behind Ghostwire. Because even though I haven't played Doom extensively, I played the first Doom, not so much the last Doom before this one, you know? But
did you play are you saying you played the 3D Doom or like the older
old Doom?
Oh, okay. Because like the last one was also just called Doom, so that's what I was clarifying.
Yeah, I played the old Doom. Like Doom and Wolfenstein back in the day, those were like the good ones. But Doom Eternal looks really good, just as Doom should be. And let me just say, my main
I like the settings
point of the whole thing. What were you saying? Yeah,
I was gonna say I like the settings and all like the environments and stuff. It's very different from what we saw in the last Doom trailer.
Yeah, I love the story, like the idea of hell taking over Earth, and just this one guy being the one to take it back. Like that's, like, if anything can raise testosterone, it's that.
It's Doom guy and demons. Got it.
And I really liked the voiceover of the bad guy. And I don't remember what he said. I didn't write it down. Oh wait, this is what he said, kind of along this, where it's like, you think you can stop us? You're just one man. And I don't know, that just kind of was like, ooh, testosterone.
It's hype.
Yeah. So, that's mainly all I got to say about Bethesda. You ranted about Bethesda. I kind of ranted about Fallout. Final thoughts on the conferences. What did you think?
There was one game that I'm interested in myself. There's a few games that are okay, that I could see appeal for other people. And then there was the rest of it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bad, and there was a lot of things that just you shouldn't do, that they just kept doing. And
to me, I think...
I didn't like it.
I haven't been following Bethesda ever since Fallout 76 was announced last year. Because I always follow Bethesda at E3, and then I probably don't have anything to do with them until the next E3.
You dip off and then you come back.
Yeah, because I just like watching them. And then I came back this year, and you guys were like, Todd Howard, and I was like, oh, okay. But Bethesda, nothing can ever compare to that one year that they were at Bethesda when they first announced Fallout 4. Like, was that their first year?
That was their first one where like, ooh, they have a conference, so they must have something big to announce.
Yeah.
And then they did. And then, after that, it's just been like, oh, they keep doing it.
Nothing can beat that. But I think the new IPs that they have, they're always really good at bringing new IPs. And surprisingly, we didn't see Starfield. Was it Starfield that it's called?
Starfield isn't there. The new Elder Scrolls, like actual Elder Scrolls game, isn't there. And I was surprised we didn't see like a new Dishonored or anything. There's a few that were missing that I was kind of surprised by, but
they just focused too much on mobile games.
It was a lot of mobile games.
I think
that,
you know how kind of funny is doing like indie games now? There should
We
be
need a mobile game showcase.
Yeah, make just a pure mobile game thing, and then just wipe that out of the regular conferences, because mobile games are fine, but I don't want them talking about it over regular games, you know?
It's just, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it appeals to someone, and I don't want to say it's wasted time, but for me, it's wasted time, and it doesn't appeal to me, and
Filler.
like you said, if it was just its own showcase, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with it.
But yeah, Ubisoft, not Ubisoft, Bethesda,
Yeah.
fine for me, not so fine for you.
Mm.
Now let's go to Ubisoft, which is,
Alright, well, I thought Ubisoft was pretty good.
on the other
I
hand,
think we both have Watch Dogs 3 at the first, though, right?
that's actually my second one, because
Oh, okay.
we didn't write anything about pre-shows in this podcast, but I don't know if you watched the pre-show for Ubisoft. Like,
Yep, I watched them both. I watched both the pre-show and the main show.
you know that Ice-T bit that they had going on?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was funny. Other than that, that's all I got to say about Ice-T.
They had a few good bits in the pre-show, but yeah.
Better than EA's pre-show. Oh, wait. Yeah.
Arguably the best pre-show.
Yeah. Watchdogs Legion. That's my second one. That's your first one.
Mm-hmm. Watch Dogs Legion looks really good, I think.
Visually, it looks good. I like the setting of London.
I like the gameplay mechanic of just you're recruiting this group of people, and if they die, they're dead.
Yeah.
And you just keep moving on.
That's actually what I'm saying. Permadeath. That's they always like. I've heard about it in games before, and it's like we're gonna do it, but then they don't actually do it.
Or it's like a side mode and not like the main thing.
But this one,
it's the main thing.
And we're just going off of what they're advertising here at E3, because we all know Watch Dogs' first game and how it bombed from E3, you know? Like, not bombed, but, like, wasn't the same.
Yeah, review-wise, Watch Dogs 1 didn't do that good. Review-wise, Watch Dogs 2 did really good, but players didn't play it after Watch Dogs 1.
Yeah.
But then this one, I think this one's going to bring both back the reviewers and the players, it looks like.
But yeah, I like that they're bringing the idea of changing characters from GTA 5, and they're just doing the daily life thing. You mentioned that, too.
Yeah, like when you change a character, like these characters all have a life outside of what you're doing, so you could just, it seems like you could just like walk around, you might be able to find them and doing stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, I like the idea of just walking out and then you see like 30 people on the sidewalk and it's like, huh, I could play as them.
Well, and there was neat stuff about it too, like we see a drug addict and it just says he may just die randomly when you're playing as him because of an overdose. And it's like, oh, okay. I didn't think we were going that direction.
They've got jokes. Oh wait. I didn't think about that now. I thought it was just for a joke.
No. That's a stat thing. He's gonna die randomly because of his drug addictions when you're like not playing as him. I think you just like come back and he's just like overdosed on the side of a road or something.
Yeah, I just thought it was a joke, but now that you mention it,
that's a real thing.
Dying randomly, that'd be really weird.
You just all of a sudden look at your roster. It's like, wait, one character just leave and like, it's gone. It's like, oh, that's my main guy. Oh no, he overdosed. It's like, oh. And the characters play differently. We see a grandma being played, and which may be the highlight of this whole thing. Like the grandma's, they say, is a retired assassin, and she's just going around.
Yeah, they definitely
shooting people, tasering stuff.
They definitely highlighted the grandma, and yeah, it's funny, but I kind of thought that the swearing of the grandma was kind of cringy. Just me. Like we're gonna get
also
this.
Like the grandma, she plays differently. Like she's a slower character. She has different animations. It's just if they have that attention to detail with like a bunch of different characters, it's like, oh, all of a sudden these characters do feel unique. Like this grandma can't like start like parkouring across things and climbing up on top of drones, but
yeah,
she can. And it'd be cool if like maybe guards, when you're playing as like the grandma, they're just like, oh, the grandma's fine, she can go through, we don't have to inspect her. But you're like playing as like a more scummy individual, and it's just like, oh, well, we have to check this guy. So all of a sudden there's benefits to being the grandma because she's so not suspicious.
Yeah, I agree. I think this game, if they can develop it correctly, has the potential to actually be as cool as they're making it look.
Yeah, the setup they had in this press conference was really good for this one.
Yeah. And for the rest of Ubisoft, though, I can't say the same. We might disagree on that, but it's not that Ubisoft was bad. It's just I thought they were kind of boring games.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's the next thing? Actually, I may have the next one, but let's see. What do you have?
You probably have a lot more written than I do because, my next one
I got
is
7.
Brawlhalla.
Yep, I got one before that. This is a negative actually. There was Mythic Quest, the TV show they're doing.
Yeah.
It's fine, but it's just like it had no place in this press conference. Like no one's turning in for this thing. And even later on, they brought in someone to talk about the Division movie they're coming out with in Netflix, and it's just
like
that's
Division
cool and
movie would
all,
be
but
cool.
These would have been great pre-show things or post-show things.
Yeah.
Right? Like the main show doesn't. That's not what people are here for. And I get that you want the biggest audience possible, but I don't. That's unless it was like some kind of video game like tying like, hey, we're gonna have a game attached to it, or there's going to be a mobile game. Hate to say pro mobile game, but like just have something gaming related besides just the concept of it is gaming. And Ubisoft was advisors for it. It's just like, oh, okay. And then it's just like only on Apple Plus TV, and it's like, well, I guess I'm screwed, huh?
It doesn't fit in there, but where else would they put it? Because I mean, yeah, like you said, there's not many people that watch the pre-show, and they want the audience.
Yeah, or just have a video game attached to it, or some kind of linking thing, where instead of it's just like, hey guys, Ubisoft advised on this, so here you go.
Yeah.
Or there's the guy who came in for the Division thing. Like I don't want to praise or anything, but he just comes in and is like, hey, by the way, we have this Division movie. It's gonna be on Netflix. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Jessica Chastain. Here you go. Yeah.
I just heard Jessica Chastain, not Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal's the main guy, yeah. And it's like it's gonna be a Netflix movie. Check it out when it comes out. Bye. Here's some DLC for Division. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but Division for me.
No complaints.
Not really much to say about that except for the movie.
No, I didn't write it down. But then I have the Brawlhalla crossover.
Yeah. So this doesn't appeal to me, but I'm sure. I mean, Brawlhalla is fun. It just I never watched Adventure Time, which is crossing over with Brawlhalla.
I also never watched Adventure Time.
It's cool, but
it was a good trailer, and I think it is exciting for what it is. And if I was into either Brawlhalla or Adventure Time, I would be way more into it.
Yeah.
And no complaints. I just think it's a cool thing to do.
It's kind of weird though, because the show ended a while ago, didn't it?
Yeah, but I think the fan base is still very active.
Probably. Other than that, Adventure Time and Brawlhalla, Jake the human, Finn the dog, and then the bubblegum girl.
Yeah, which is actually kind of cool too. They have 3 characters for this. You'd think it was just going to be Finn and Jake, or maybe even just one of them. Like I thought, what they're actually going to do is just Finn and Jake are one character, and they just switch back and forth.
Yeah, kind of like a Duck Hunt Dog thing.
Yeah, sort of like that. And then I was just like, no, actually, it's 3 unique characters that all have unique animations and stuff. It's like, oh, okay.
That's alright.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's not for me. But yeah, definitely not negative. I think it's actually pretty cool. Definitely a positive.
I only have one more thing written for Ubisoft, and it's not game related.
Well, I have 4 more.
What's your next one?
Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Well,
this is not a positive or negative. So this is a spin-off full game based on Rainbow Six Siege, and they had a mode that I played a little bit of it's like a zombie thing where you're dealing with the initial outbreak of this zombie virus, and you're sent in to like kill the zombies and protect the scientists and stuff. The mode isn't that good, so making a game out of it is a weird decision. It could be a good game, but the mode was just very. I mean, it was a mode that was just added in for Halloween, right? Like, it's not that depth. It doesn't have that much depth. It's not that intricate. So making it a whole game, they could do that, but otherwise, weird decision.
It's a very weird decision, but I don't know. It could be cool because they don't really have like zombie-related things for Rainbow Six Siege, do they?
Just for the Halloween event, and then it was gone. Yeah.
So yeah.
So they're making it a whole game now, so you can play it any time and not just for a month.
Yeah, but I don't really have anything to say about that. I was going to write it down, but then I figured I wouldn't have much to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't have much. I have some personal experience with this one, unlike most of these games, so I thought, why not?
Yeah.
Next, I have Uplay Plus.
What do you think about Uplay? It's kind of like the Xbox Game Pass thing.
So the first Game Pass thing was for EA. It was the Origin Pass or something like that, and it gave you access to a lot of the EA games, but it wasn't all of them. It was just certain games, and like after a few months, they dropped like Battlefield in there, and that was fine. I don't remember how much it was, but then Xbox comes up with the Game Pass. It's like, hey, every Xbox game's gonna be on here. It's like, oh, who needs Origin Pass?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden Ubisoft comes in. It's like, no, wait, guys, come back. $15 a month. The same
price
as getting
the Ultimate.
The Game Pass Ultimate that comes with Gold, Xbox Live Gold. Just come on in. And it's like, oh, well, you're kind of just doing the same thing as Origin 5 years later and not as good of a deal as Xbox.
So you think
it's like,
you think the Xbox One is a better deal?
Yeah. But the catch is, unlike the Xbox One, they're giving you the most expensive version of every game. So you get all the DLC, all the little bonuses. Generally, if it's like a multiplayer game, you're getting some of the microtransaction money. And so it's just like, that is a plus. And if you're really into, Tom Clancy games, it's probably a good deal, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not really into Tom Clancy games, or like you don't want to replay all the Assassin's Creed games, I don't know if it's really a valuable thing, because they have, looking through this thing, like, they have some cool games. I'd want to play Watchdogs 3, but I don't want to pay $15 a month to play Watchdogs 3 for the best version. I'll just buy whatever version I want and move on with my life.
Yeah, I agree. But what's your next thing? Because I don't think we have much to say on Uplay.
Roller Champions.
Roller Champions, you mean Rocket League, but without the rockets?
Yeah, I liked the concept of it, and they had this little intro cinematic, and I liked that too. And then they showed gameplay, and it looked awful. The gameplay looks fine, just visually the graphics are terrible.
I thought it looked fine.
To me, it looks like you could honestly pass it off as a late Wii game in some aspects. Like, it's just like it, and it's totally cool if like some versions look bad, or this is the lowest graphics version. But since this is going to be a PC thing, and they're showing it off as like this is their press reveal, this is probably definitely the highest quality version of this game, and it looks not that great.
Yeah.
It looks bad even for me. It looks bad, and so.
But it's like our friend described it best. It's sports games without the actual sports. I mean, it is sports, but it's like...
Well, it's not a real sport.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not much to say on that.
And then my last one is Gods and Monsters.
I actually have something before that one. Let me read it. So, this isn't a game. It was with the Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Breakpoint game, though, which there was a lot of Tom Clancy in this, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. They always do that, though, but yeah, this year, because they want to show you this and that and this and that. There's a lot this year.
Kind of like the Keanu Reeves reveal. I liked seeing John Bernthal and his dog.
Yeah.
So, that's all I gotta say.
I will say, like, just like the charisma levels and the excitement and hype levels, though, like John Bernthal is not meeting the Keanu levels. Like, Keanu was just like an enigma, basically, compared to John Bernthal was cool, and he would have been way more cool if there wasn't already Keanu, but it's like, oh, it's cool, it's alright.
But there's they did a lot of celebrity reveals this E3 for some reason.
Yeah, I'm cool with it, though.
So, anyway, your God thing, what was it called again?
Gods and Monsters. So this press conference opened up on a symphony for Assassin's Creed, which is, it could have been fine. It went for a while, but like, I would have been fine with it if they kept the symphony around the whole time. They're playing the music for the game trailers live. Like, that would have been cool. Sony did that one year. But they just show up, they waste 5 minutes, and they go. And they're just like, oh, well, they're going to have a new Assassin's Creed game. And that's cool. And then all of a sudden it comes Gods and Monsters, and it's like, by the creators of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Not an Assassin's Creed game.
Like, throughout the whole conference, we were like, is there going to be an Assassin's Creed? And I was saying, that, like, the type of settings that I want. And for those of you that are watching that want to know what I think about Assassin's Creed, I haven't been into it since Assassin's Creed 3 with Connor, the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
I would love to see Civil War, World War II, ancient Japan, or modern day. But like you said, the developers are French, so they don't really get into American history as much.
Yeah, the things that they view as historically important aren't necessarily what we view as historically important.
Yeah,
So.
but and you also said that there was a leak or a rumor for
that it was going to be a like Viking Nordic style Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, that would have been cool. And then you also made a joke about caveman, which also would have been cool. But
then it's just. But yeah, they opened on Assassin's Creed just this concert. It's like, oh, that pretty much locks that there's going to be Assassin's Creed, right?
Yeah.
And they show this game. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, and they opened it up, and we were actually talking about them being Ubisoft being partners with Nintendo for a little bit, and we were
Lost Chapter.
The Lost Chapter. He was talking about what were we talking about? F-Zero, Star Fox.
Yeah, they're doing like an F-Zero Star Fox game since Nintendo doesn't usually hit those franchises up anymore.
And so we were thinking, hey, is this Breath of the Wild? Because it kind of looked like a Breath of the Wild style game. And then
like maybe like a spin-off or something.
Yeah, and then I was like, wait, anime Assassin's Creed? But then it was like, new IP. And it's like, huh?
And I'm totally fine with that too, but why did they start with a concert to make everyone's expectations that's going to be there, and then it's just no, we just want everyone to know Assassin's Creed exists, and that's all. And it's like, well, we knew that. This is your most popular game. We all knew it existed. We're all here.
Yeah.
So,
and you know how they had that one developer come up on stage right before this game was like shown, and he was just saying, "I love working with Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is great, so look at our new project." And then it's not Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, I actually did like what this game looked like, but it was just...
I can't complain, but it's just like they were leading us to think that it would be a new Assassin's Creed game, and I would love to see like ancient Japan, where we get like ninja assassins versus samurai Templar or whatever, because that would draw me back into the franchise, since I haven't been into it ever since Connor and Assassin's Creed 3, you know?
Well, another thing is, with most press conferences, when the last game's coming, they're like, hey, wait, we have one last thing to show you. And this one, they didn't say that at all. It's just like, oh, and here's this game I'm working on. And then it ends, and they don't even say, like, well, that's the end of the conference. It's just like, oh, and we're in the after show now. So it was just so jarring.
Yeah, it was very jarring, because then the trailer ends, like you said, and then it's like...
And then all of a sudden, we're looking at T-Pain fighting...
We're somewhere else, and there's Lil Yachty, and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, and just, I think we also would have been way more cool with it if they're like, hey, we work on Assassin's Creed, we have a new IP that we're working on, this is our last game of the show, this is our one last thing, and it's like, oh, okay, expectations have been, like, we know our expectations now, this is fine, but instead we're watching, it's like, oh, okay, and then we're still expecting, like, there's going to be something else after this, though, so whatever, and there's never something else after, and it's just like, they did not temper expectations right for this game, and they gave it a bad chance at being like as praised as it would be otherwise.
Yeah. So that's all we got to say about Ubisoft. Unless if you have something else.
Nope, that's it.
What are your final thoughts on the conference?
I liked it. Like, it wasn't, the best. Ubisoft never is, but I'd say Ubisoft is like the most consistent, I guess. They've never had like a press conference that's been really bad, but they've also never had the press conference that's been like, this is the best one. I think they still have like their hits and stuff like that. Like, Watchdogs 3 looked pretty good, and so I have not really too many complaints.
They're the fun company that appeals to people that isn't Nintendo.
Yeah, it's fine. It was good. They could have done more, and that would have been cool.
I actually agree 100% because, like I said, this was the only conference where I wrote something from the pre-show because their pre-show was good. They had Ice-T. That was pretty funny. And then they had, DLC? I only really talked about one game. And that was the first game they opened with.
Yeah, Watchdogs.
And then I mentioned, DLC or, an add-on to Brawlhalla. And then a celebrity appearance with his dog, and it's like, well... Oh, wait. Now that I think about it, since it's kind of been known for months, but now it's, official, what do you think about Just Dance? on the Wii.
Well, the last one was on the Wii, and I thought it was very funny. This one on the Wii. I wonder if we can go to the next year. I wonder if we can go to the next console generation was still on the Wii, because this will be the third generation for Just Dance on the Wii.
Yeah.
Which is very funny.
It is pretty funny. I think it's funny because this is on the Wii and the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you know exactly who's buying it, right? Like, it's like the moms and the grandmas who bought their Wii and were buying Just Dance before, and it's like, oh, I'll get the new one. Like, and that's just like enough of a market apparently to keep buying these things and keep it going.
And it's those people that are like, I still have a Wii. Why not buy one?
It's that aunt that you go to for like Christmas every other year, and it's just like, oh, okay, you have this thing. All right, I guess games are games.
Yeah. But that's all we have to say about Ubisoft. Before we go into Square Enix, we kind of have just a little bit to say about that Kind of Funny Games little showcase.
Mm-hmm. Just a few games stood out to us.
Yeah. And we're just kind of...
I think you could probably just go through all this because you have more than I do.
Yeah, we're just going to speed through, and you only have 2, right?
Yep, just 2, and one of them is the same one as you, so...
Alright, so what's your first one?
Just keep on rolling. I'll just go with the one that we don't have in common. Skatebird.
Skatebird. That one actually looked pretty cool.
Were you able to find the trailer for this one? Yeah, it's a weird skating game with some flying, hovering mechanics, but it looks actually like a decent skate game that's just like straight skating, which we haven't gotten in a while.
That's what Skate 4 should have been.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't remember the last time we've had just like a skate game that everyone's liked that's kind of just been like a solid skating game. And for some reason it takes a bird flying on a skateboard to do it, but this one, it looked like an actual skating game that just happened to have a bird on it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all I gotta say personally. It's just a quick little thing.
Yeah, all these games have been really quick for kind of games. I like the way they did it. We didn't watch their one last year, but this was all right.
Yeah, we might check out the next one.
Let's talk about the one that we share, and then we'll go through mine.
All right. I think this is the first one that like really jumped out to us.
Ramen.
Yeah, Ramen.
Which is a punny game that
about near naked guys in apron throwing ramen at each other, and it's a multiplayer game versus, and you slide on ramen and you attack other people with ramen and get them food poisoning. And
unlike Fallout 76's Nuclear Winter, this is not, at least I don't think, a battle royale. And if it is a battle royale, it's a battle royale done right. It kind of reminds me of Gang Beasts. Do you remember that game?
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh, I didn't mean to get so close to the mic there. Sorry.
But yeah, I thought Ramen was good. At first, it didn't appeal to me, but then I saw the fighting and like the actual. It reminded me of games that I've played in the past, and it's like, that's alright.
It's a weird game with a clear vision that looks fun to people who aren't just the one with the vision, right?
Yeah. And then
but
I have 3 left, and these ones
just go
I'll
through
just speed through because I kind of don't remember one of them.
The
first one is Sneaky Ninja.
Mm-hmm.
Sneaky Ninja was that little platformer with the ninja, but you have like
the little egg ninja.
Yeah, it's got like stealth elements in it.
I was looking this trailer up because I wanted to just refresh myself before we got into this, and that trailer has not been posted yet. So I saw an old trailer from like I want to say last year.
Oh, it's an older game.
Good then too. Yeah, this was not the announcement for it. It was like an announcement of changes in progress for the game.
Oh,
it was good.
Well, then for that, yeah, it looks really good. I thought the game looked good, looked fun, and since we didn't see the one last year, it was new to me.
Yeah, brand new to me too. I just saw that trailer, looking it up.
Yeah, and then after Sneaky Ninja was a game called Foregone. Foregone was kind of like that little mix of 2D fighting and 2D platformer, which I thought was cool,
Yeah, was that the one with like really like fluid animation? Because I saw that one, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that was the one with like the girl fighting.
Yeah, I like that. The animation's really well done. The art looked good.
And then my last one was a game that I actually went AFK for, but then you linked it after. It was The Fling to the Finish.
Yeah.
Look,
some weird co-op game that just happens to appeal to both of us.
Looks like a mobile game, but hey, look pretty good.
Yeah, it was just a weird puzzle where you have to, weird like maybe like platformer where two people are controlling the same object because they're attached by a cord.
Yeah.
And they're playing like little balls that just roll around and bounce and yeah, it
But
looks
yeah,
cool.
that's all we have for Kind of Funny Games. I guess we can give like a little briefing for it. I thought it was fun, quick.
Yeah, it was a nice little in-betweener.
Yeah.
A palate
And
cleanser.
shout out to Kind of Funny Games because they're also a YouTube channel, so
Yeah.
go give them support if you like their showcase.
They need our shout out, damn it. We got the big audience and they're nothing.
So now we can move on to the big two of, because I mean,
Alright.
like I said earlier, Xbox was the outlier in the kind of boring and bad conferences at the start, you know?
Yeah.
And then Square Enix and Nintendo ended off strong.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
How many games do you have for this?
I
Just
have
two?
4.
Oh, okay. I only have 3.
What do you... I'm sure we share, like... This.
The first one and the last one?
Yeah. So let's start off with the obvious first one.
Final Fantasy VII. Best faces in the game, dude. These are some good faces, good animations, good graphics. The world looks really good.
Uh-huh.
I'm into it.
This one, I actually remember the release date. It releases on March 3rd, 2020.
Another 2020 game.
And...
I want to go back through all these later on and just see how many 2020s we have. It's going to be... This next year may be the best year of gaming of all time, if it keeps up like this.
I agree. My main thing with Final Fantasy VII was... I never played the original Final Fantasy, so... But I do know that it was like the turn-based RPG type thing.
Yeah. The only one I've ever played is 15, and I'm not even that far into that one.
So I know that the old Final Fantasy VII had like the weird block arms and all that stuff. This one not only looked good, but it played and looked good.
Yeah.
Like
they showed a boss fight too, and it looked pretty good.
Yeah, Cloud looked really good.
Yeah, all the characters looked really good.
Tifa.
Like, there's you can tell that these are like fan favorite characters that like they had to put their best into because all of them have a lot of personality just from the design. Like you can just look at them and be like, "Oh, that's what you're about. I got it."
I thought Tifa looked good.
Yeah, Tifa looks good. I like all of them. I can't think of anyone that just was not interested in the design. Like Cloud may be the most boring.
I thought Cloud was the most interesting, mainly because he's the protagonist, so we see most of him. But gameplay, Final Fantasy VII, really good. You said that we're gonna... I mean, I don't know if you said it was confirmed or anything, but you said that this game might potentially just be the Midgar section.
Yeah, I don't know if it is just the Midgar section, but I do know that it's going to be... It's mostly the Midgar section. They said they're going to be blowing it up a lot, adding a lot of new things, and as someone who hasn't played it, I don't know if that's, a lot of the game, a little bit of the game, but I know that Midgar is like the fan favorite section. Obviously, that's the Smash stage for Final Fantasy VII. That's the place you hear about. I can't even think of many other locations from that game that I've seen just as a casual observer.
Yeah,
so.
as a casual observer, I only know about the Midgar section and the ending.
Yeah. So, that may be fine. It seems like it would be fine, right? Because that's all we know, so that must be an important section. Yeah. So I just assume it's going to work out.
Yeah, but aside from the gameplay, like, I saw the trailer that was released with the Final Fantasy Symphony. Even though I didn't watch the Symphony, I saw it later on Twitter. Gameplay, straight up gameplay, looked fantastic. Might actually want to play a Final Fantasy game.
This is the one that gets you hooked? Hey, it's going to be this gen too. It's nice.
Yeah, it's kind of... And I actually said that it's kind of getting like the Resident Evil 2 thing, where the most popular game of that little franchise is getting remastered by taking little elements from what made future games good, but they're just adding on to that past game and adding on to the popularity.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't see there's a chance that this game is bad, right? Like the story we already know is going to be good. The characters we already know are going to be good. We know the visuals are good, and we see the combat and that looks good. So
yeah, and that's the thing.
I don't know how they could fail it.
That's the thing with remakes of already good games. You just got to make the game again, but add on to it. But you just got to add the good stuff onto it, and that way it'll be even better.
Yeah. And what we've seen are all good things.
Yeah. But that's all I got to say for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. There was a lot of Final Fantasy stuff, which,
I'm sure I could get into it more if I was a Final Fantasy guy, and I'm cool with. I mean, like, Square Enix is the Final Fantasy company, so I don't have any issues with it. In fact, like, they're the JRPG company. Like, all they did for a while was just we do Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. So
yeah, I'm cool with seeing Final Fantasy stuff and Dragon Quest stuff, but as someone who's not a fan, seeing a whole bunch of it just doesn't do anything for me.
I guess I should mention Final Fantasy VIII Game Remaster is cool because they call it a remaster. It doesn't look that good. It just looks like it's a port, but
looks like it's a port, but it looks better.
Yeah. But that game, I don't know how much you know about it. It is a weird game, and that's one I'm willing to jump into. A lot of people don't like that game as much because it followed 7 and because it just does a lot of weird stuff. But I want to try it out myself and just to see what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm
excited about that.
I don't really know much about it, but I saw people saying good things about it, so. What's your next game?
Alright, so my next one is The Last Remnant Remastered.
Alright, so that's different from mine.
Yes. This is a game that was like the first Square Enix game on the Xbox, basically. It's on the Xbox 360, but it was like the first time Square Enix has gone there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And
since then it's gone on Windows and it's gone on PlayStation. But this is the first time this game, The Last Remnant, is ever coming to a Nintendo console. And not only that, it is available right now. They just dropped it. It was like, hey, play it right now.
Shadow drops are the best.
Go to the store and get it. Yeah, love Shadow drops. And so that's just why I want to include it. It's the first time it's on Nintendo, and it's a Shadow drop. That's a twofer.
Yeah.
So.
My next two games I can probably just breeze real quick through because they're kind of just little slight remarks. The first one is Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Yeah, Dragon Quest Builders is cool. I was just going to say Dragon Quest Builders is cool.
Oh, yeah. I am not into Dragon Quest, but I do like the Toriyama style. So, this reminds me of a Dragon Ball Z-esque Minecraft, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then my next game is Battalion 1994, which...
That was 1944, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a... It reminded me a lot of Roblox, Call of Robloxia. Don't know why.
What's cool about this one is it's a indie game that Square is publishing, so it's not like it's one of their like main developers going to. It's not a AAA game. It's just like, hey, here's this game. We're just gonna push it up on the main stage.
Yeah.
So.
And so, cool. 2 little comments, and now we're gonna end off with the game that everybody was hyping up, the game that we've been waiting for 2 years to see. And what did we think about it? I thought it was all right.
I thought it was good. I liked Avengers.
So let's talk about Avengers.
So it starts off on Avengers Day. There's this little thing going on, A-Day. And what do you think of the character models? Because that's like the first thing we see.
Character models, I know that everybody is giving the models crap, but personally, Hulk looks really good. Iron Man looks fine. The helmet is just a little off. Like, it looks a little anime-ish for some reason. Black Widow, people are saying she looks ugly, but I think she looks fine.
Well, something I saw was that people saying that she looks like Scarlett Johansson, but not enough, so it looks off. I'm like, she doesn't even remotely look like Scarlett Johansson to me.
Yeah.
Like, not even similar.
My main 2 issues with the character designs are Thor and Captain America. Thor, he looks beefy, but like in the fat beefy way, but it's not the good fat beefy way from Endgame.
It's not the Endgame Thor.
And then Captain America. Before I go on to Captain America, though, you said that the voice actors in this game are good. It's kind of weird hearing Nolan North voice Tony Stark, and you said Roy from Full Metal Alchemist is the voice of
Travis Willingham is Thor.
Yeah, and as people
Laura Bailey
who are from
Black
your
Widow.
channel, they're familiar with your Full Metal Alchemist stuff, so.
And then There was Troy Baker is Bruce Banner, and I do not know the guy who was Captain America, but those four I do
Laura
know.
Bailey was Black Widow. She's the voice of Kid Trunks.
Oh yeah, she's everything. She's Lust in Full Alchemist.
Yeah.
Like, she's everything.
What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Captain America's design. It looks fine.
Yeah, I got no problems with it. I know a lot of people hate it. I'm not a Captain America guy, but it looks fine. Especially when he's all suited up and just running around throwing his shield. Like, it looks fine.
As a Captain America guy, I think it looks really good. His helmet looks... Well, not the design looks good. Like, with his helmet on, the helmet looks really good. And with the helmet, the design kind of balances itself out, you know? But I think that when he has his helmet off and he has the bulky suit, it's just too bulky for Captain America.
What did you think of the story that we have presented so far? The story of the Avengers causing like a bunch of deaths in New York, including Captain America.
Well, this is kind of where my main issue with the game comes in, the story. It's not a bad story. It's just we didn't get enough of the story, and they gave us too many cliffhangers to decipher how good the story will be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like the story myself. The thing that I see a lot of people bothered by is either like, oh, they killed off Captain America, well, that's the main appeal, or, oh, it's obvious to bring back Captain America because he's in the roster of heroes you can play as. I'm like, I think, yeah, it's obvious to bring back Captain America, but I think it's more supposed to be something that's important with their characters. Like, oh no, Captain America's dead, so it's how they deal with it. It's not for us to deal with, it's for them to deal with. That's why they showed it in the trailer. It's just fine.
Yeah, and the story is fine, but before I dive into more of the in-depth things about the story, I just kind of wanted to say that the whole Ant-Man thing at the end, the whole Hank Pym, you were saying that this is more of the comic Avengers, right?
Yeah, it definitely felt more comic-y to me.
This isn't, like, we made the Hawkeye joke with Ghostwire, and I feel like because of the MCU, most people, not us, but most people are like, where's Hawkeye? Because he's been associated with those main six, and seeing 5 out of them be in this game, but not him, people are like, man, he's getting the shaft. And it's like, I agree, I would love to see Hawkeye, but this is a different version of the comic team, and it has Hank Pym, which his design I'm not really a big fan of.
Well, his design, though, is completely different from the MCU. Like, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, yeah, they're taking notes from the MCU design. It's like, look at Hank Pym and tell me they're taking notes from the comic design.
Look at Captain America.
Yeah, it's just like, that's not what these characters look like in the MCU. Like, they're both kind of going for the same characters, so they do look similar in ways, but you look at Hank Pym, and it's just, that's not Michael Douglas. That's not it at all.
And that's the main thing. People are forgetting that Hank Pym was Ant-Man, because I actually prefer Scott Lang because of the movies, but this is not Scott Lang. This is the original Ant-Man.
Well, Hank Pym is a founding member of the Avengers, so it makes sense, too, if you're doing a new team. Like, hey, this is all the founding members then, because, well, other than the Wasp, this is all the founding members, because it was just Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, Ant-Man, and the Wasp, and then later,
Captain America.
A couple issues in, they bring Captain America and make him a founding member as well.
Yeah.
And so that's all of them.
This is good old wife-beater Hank Pym. you know how he did that in the comics? Favorite. I don't want to get into that, though, but...
that's a topic for another new video.
But I kind of zoned out towards the end of this, because I was just thinking about the character designs, because that's kind of that's the thing that divides the audience, is the character designs. It's either you love them or you hate them, and to me, I love half of them, I hate the other half, and then the other one I'm fine with.
Well, something cool is they show at one point Iron Man flying around space, and he has like
the space armor,
some white and gold armor, which confirms alternate costumes, that's always interesting, especially for these games where you have a bajillion costumes to choose from. So that's exciting. And the other thing that's exciting I wanted to point out is they said all characters and I think when I say maps or something, they said all those are going to be free, and there's going to be updates that are added to the game, which means we're getting more heroes than what we see now. and we don't even know if this is the final roster. So Hawkeye may show up. Like we just got Hank Pym after we see the story trailers. It's not like who's involved in the story that we've seen is necessarily the heroes we're gonna get. So
yeah, it's kind of like well, no, I shouldn't say that because I'll tie this into Spider-Man PS4 in a second, but it's kind of like they're advertising one thing, but that's just going to be the core game, and then we get additional stuff to it.
I'm looking forward to it for sure. This is another 2020 release as well.
Yeah, this is like May something. May 20, I think.
What's great?
May 15.
What's interesting is all these games they are trying to get out before E3. It seems like the next year's one. So I wonder if they have a large catalog of things that are going to be coming out after E3 but before the next console, or if that's just going to be a bunch of dead air and then the consoles are going to be huge.
So, do you think since they're releasing these games before E3 next year, they're going to just dive all into the next-gen consoles next E3?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the route they have to go on, right? Like, we have new consoles here, and I know they've had the dev kits for them for a couple of years now, so I think we're going to big blow it next year. We're probably going to have Sony back. We're going to have all these people back again, and the main focus is going to be that holiday season, the Xbox 2, the PlayStation 5. Like, everyone's going to be aiming for that, and I think next E3 is going to be huge. That's my guess.
Yeah. But back to the Avengers, what I was saying was I think Iron Man's design is fine. The costume designs and the character designs are the most divisive thing. But that actually ties into what I was going to bring up, which was Taskmaster. He's in a little second of the trailer.
They did some cool villains in this one, for sure.
I saw Abomination fighting Hulk, and then I remember Taskmaster, and then they had some random monster at the end that I didn't get to see.
Yeah, they had Abomination. I don't remember much else than Abomination and Taskmaster, but I know that at the time I was like, oh, it's this person. Can't remember it now.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to focus on like big name villains. They're just going to have like the fallout of the Avengers be the main thing.
I think we'll still have like a main enemy, right? Like a final boss.
They've got to. Like they even said in the trailer, maybe they were set up by someone. So,
well,
don't know.
Another thing they said is that they wanted to focus. They mentioned this particularly like this is their version of the villains. They didn't say their version of the heroes, but they wanted to let you know that they are doing something different with the villains. So I wouldn't be surprised these guys aren't like their comic counterparts, aren't like the MCU counterparts. Like these are maybe different origin stories, maybe different like characteristics. It's just they share the name and the powers. So who knows?
Yeah, and I agree. But that brings up the next question. Do you think that this is in the same universe as Marvel's Spider-Man, Insomniac's Spider-Man? Because let me bring up the points of evidence that I have off the top of my mind. One, when you take a picture of the Avengers headquarters, he says they're in the West Coast, and they're in San Francisco at the start of this trailer.
Apparently, in the trailer, they are opening up the West Coast branch, like the West Coast headquarters, too. Like, it's called the West Coast headquarters.
Yeah. And then you also see Taskmaster in Spider-Man PS4, who says he has gone up against the Avengers, and we see him here in this game, even though he's wearing a different outfit.
I was going to say, how similar are the designs? I think that could be a make or break right there.
Yeah. And tying into what you said about the free DLC or whatever with the additional characters, I saw people talking on Twitter about this last night. Do you think... I mean, I don't know if they'll make him a PS4 exclusive character, but do you think we'll see Spider-Man as a character for DLC? And if so, maybe it will be Spider-Man PS4 Spider-Man?
I would like it a lot. I think he'll either be DLC or in the main roster that we just haven't seen revealed yet. But I don't know if it's connected at this point because the Taskmaster thing. Something I could see them doing a lot for a PlayStation exclusive thing is just have a skin for Spider-Man that's the PS4 Spider-Man skin. Like that could work out. That's a good thing to have exclusive. Not the whole hero, just a skin.
Yeah, that'd be a nice little thing. And what was I gonna say? What do you think? But that kind of brings up the whole weird timeline thing, because if you think about it, Marvel's Spider-Man takes place 8 years after he's been Spider-Man. So he's 23 in the Spider-Man game.
Well, yeah, that would make him 28 then now.
Yeah, because they had that 5-year time skip, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, that would actually make a lot of sense, because then you could have the Spider-Man trilogy, or however many games they're making for Insomniac, 23 to 28, tell his story, and then at that point, he's experienced enough, and he has that big of a rogues gallery that he can be an Avenger, right?
Or they could just, but I don't know about Spider-Man 2 and 3 being there. Like, they could be, but I could also see them doing 2 and 3 afterwards, because the only thing, spoilers for Spider-Man, the only thing they really set up in the Spider-Man game that would be like good for a sequel is the focus on Miles, and that would be the only thing I think you'd really lose from a 5-year time skip. It's just like his progression to Spider-Man. So if they're willing to lose that, I think you could totally do it.
They set up the Miles thing, and I know you didn't get into the DLC, but do you want me to spoil the DLC for you, or do you just want to?
That stuff's on sale right now. I'm gonna go get it later. I have plans to play it.
So you don't want me to spoil it?
No, I'll stay safe. I'll leave that for your inevitable Avengers video.
So I'll just spoil. I mean, not really spoil, but what you already saw with the main core game. They would be missing out on Miles, and they would be missing out on Venom.
Yeah, I don't know if the Osborn stuff is all resolved. The cliffhanger, is that the Venom stuff or no?
Yeah, the Osborn cliffhanger with Venom being Harry and whatever.
So that stuff was not resolved at all in the DLC.
So it was set up,
but it wasn't resolved.
No, it wasn't. It was
okay.
It was set up, and then the DLC kind of did stuff with Miles, but not like gameplay wise or anything. It just set up stuff with Miles for the next game.
So we'll see. Yeah, that could have some. They may have already done the progression that I need for Miles then, and maybe it's just the Venom stuff. And you could even hold that off for 5 years if you needed to. Yeah.
But then, I don't know. I think it'd be... We don't even know if these two are connected at all.
Yeah. But it's like, it's nice to theorize about.
It is nice to theorize about, and it's kind of just like with Dragon Ball Z, or like with Smash, where all the pieces line up, and it's like, this is gonna happen, you know?
Yeah. I get you.
And it's more like, it would be... Even if people don't like the design of the characters or the game, we haven't even talked about the gameplay yet.
Yeah.
But I think it would be smart for them to have the trilogy set within the Spider-Man trilogy set within the 5-year gap, and then after that, go and have him be an Avenger, and then do whatever, you know.
Well, time will tell. We have less than a year until this game is out. Less than a year until like half the games we've been talking about are out. Crazy.
And at the time of us recording this podcast, they actually just barely came out with GameSpot coverage for E3 and E3 Coliseum stuff. So after this podcast, we'll have to look at that, and then you guys can let us know what you thought about that in the comments.
But then, do you want to just give your opinions on Square Enix as a whole then?
Yeah. Should we talk about gameplay, even though we haven't seen too much of it? Just like for like 10 seconds or something?
10 seconds. I don't think we should go too much into it, though, because anything we say could be wrong as of recording. But just brief.
Yeah, because like, so they're doing it like right now.
Yeah.
But gameplay looked fine. It was cut in a way with the trailer that you could tell when gameplay started and then when the actual trailer was CGI. But it was kind of like, it looked good enough that you couldn't really tell unless if you were like really watching or you rewatched it.
Well, a lot of people didn't know there was any gameplay, so it's still a nice and thing, but you could tell by the camera angle, like, oh, okay, this is the player camera angle all of a sudden.
Yeah, and the gameplay looked really good from what I saw.
Yeah. And
it's really nice that we get to have co-op in this game.
The focus on co-op, too. It's not just like we have co-op, it's like it is intended for co-op.
And for an Avengers game that isn't Ultimate Alliance, but is kind of seeming like Ultimate Alliance, that's really good.
Yep. And then as for Square Enix as a whole, I liked it. It was lots of stuff I didn't care about, but it was a lot of games. It was fast, and it was the stuff that's like, that is Square Enix thing, right? You think of Square Enix and you think, oh, Final Fantasy. So I'm not too upset about it. It's just not for me, but I don't think it was... I think if I was a Final Fantasy fan, it would have been good. So I don't... Just because of my lack of expertise does not make it a worse conference, I guess.
Yeah. And for me, I think Square Enix was good. It was definitely one of the better conferences, but I would probably put Xbox over it because, like you said, for me, there was a whole lot of Final Fantasy stuff and games that I just didn't either care for, or there was stuff that I didn't want to talk about. Because the main thing for me was Avengers, and after 2 years, I'm not gonna lie, even though the game still looks really good, I think we overhyped it. Like, not just you and me and all of our friends, but everyone in general, after not hearing anything, just overhyped it. And so, even if the final product is good, which it does look good, we haven't seen much from 2 years, so we don't really know.
But by all we know, we'll turn this off, we'll go check out the gameplay stream, and we'll be like, oh, we're properly hyped. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows, though. But, Square Enix was good. A lot of stuff I didn't care about, and the stuff that I did care about was good, but it just felt overhyped to me, which, that's my own fault. But Square Enix did a good job.
Yeah, I agree. Now, on to the big guns.
The big guns.
Nintendo.
E3 Nintendo Direct. So should we start with the tournaments, because we kind of didn't talk about those?
Sure. I didn't have anything to really talk about it, so you go ahead and I'll hop in.
Alright, so I'll just read off what I wrote for the notes. So, for the Nintendo tournaments that occurred on the same day as EA, Mario Maker 2 Invitational 2019. Gerard the Completionist was a competitor. That was cool. I like Gerard.
I think the Mario Maker tournament actually was the best tournament. It was fast, it was entertaining, and as not a Mario guy, like, it was 10-cent moments. As soon as you pick someone that you want to win, it's like, oh wow, like, they were good maps. It was tense. Like, I had sweaty palms at the end of it. Like, it was a good little tournament. It was only like, what, 50 minutes long?
Yeah.
Good.
It was the shortest of the three.
It was good. It was quick, and it makes me interested in Mario Maker. Not a lot, because I'm not into Mario, like, just difficulty wise. I like a nice, like, easy Mario, or like 3D Marios. The 2D one, not really for me, but I like watching it, and it was good to watch.
Yeah. And my next note is, I liked them showcasing the 3D World skin, because that's new to the Mario Maker franchise.
Yeah, the little cat. Oh no, just the skin, like the visuals and everything.
Yeah, like the visuals. And I liked how they made that 3D game work in a 2D setting. And speaking of that, I liked the elements from that specific game being used, kind of like that beat blocks. Like, you remember that one, I forget her name, but she was playing on the left side of the screen and she kept, like, falling off the beat blocks.
Yeah.
The on-off switch blocks, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Like, I like how those... Why are you laughing?
It was funny. Just watching it was funny. There was one particularly not good competitor in that tournament.
Yeah, but at least she did her best, and that's the thing. Like, they even said it with Nintendo. Everyone was being a good sport there, so...
Oh, yeah. She did better than I could do, too. It's just, at a tournament level, it's funny.
Yeah. And, speaking of the on-off switch, or the beat blocks, whatever you want to call them, I liked the little car that they had to use, the little momentum car, because it reminded me of the Mercedes-Benz from the first Mario Maker.
Yeah, I liked it. There wasn't anything about the Mario Maker thing I think I disliked. Like, it was all good.
Yeah, I agree. And then my next thing was the Mario and Luigi co-op on the Super Mario World skin. I like co-op in a Mario game. I know most people don't, because it can get chaotic. And personally, I have always been a fan of New Super Mario Bros. Wii out of the other New Super Mario games. And I thought that co-op was a really cool thing, and it does open up a lot of interesting stuff that can happen in Mario Maker.
Yeah, when you're online, you can actually look for maps with a tag for co-op maps specifically. So there are people making maps just for co-op. As we saw in the tournament, there was some good just co-op map.
Yeah. And the next thing is that little twister mechanic. Even though it's nothing really to talk about, it wasn't in the first Mario Maker alongside slopes, which it's really cool that Nintendo can get me hyped about slopes and little twisters over actual games.
Yeah. It was just good. I don't know. I liked
Yeah.
I hope the maps they put in there are in the final game, because they were good maps for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
They weren't easy maps. They had some nice challenge.
I think they'll do that, though, kind of like what they did the first Invitational for Mario Maker.
Which I actually also just like compared to that, like I thought this one was even better than that one too.
Yeah. But they're both really good. I like when Nintendo does these types of tournaments for games that you wouldn't think would be in a tournament setting.
And all of a sudden it just works somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they just hype it up, and it's like, oh, wow, I'm hyped too.
Yeah, the production value was there. And another thing worth saying is this was after EA. So...
Mm-hmm. So it was definitely a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, a nice change of pace.
And I thought it was weird how Nintendo separated these two tournaments on separate days, but like I think you said that they were just trying to make it two different things because these tournaments were so big. They were an all-day thing.
Yeah. I think, like, right now they're still doing Treehouse. Like, they wanted that day to show everything. And they, as we'll get to later, they had a lot of stuff at Nintendo, so they have a lot of things to show, so I kind of get it.
Yeah. And I actually had the most to talk about with Mario Maker 2 compared to the other tournaments, so I'm still kind of on that.
Yeah.
Sorry for the slow pace.
That's the one I have the most to talk about, too.
Twister was a cool addition. I like how you had to, like, particularly Gerard, when he was, he had to crouch down and it pushed you along. Like, that's a pretty cool mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Swinging ropes / anchors and rising lava in the Mario Bros. 1 skin.
Yeah.
That just opens up a whole lot of can of worms, you know?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of, a large variety of maps, for sure. Because they're just adding so many different things.
Yeah. And this is kind of where we talk about just Mario Maker 2, because they didn't really talk about it in the actual Direct.
No, it wasn't any new things shown, just, like, the capabilities of the new stuff.
Yeah. But after that is Splatoon 2 World Championship 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really into Splatoon, but I love the game being part of Nintendo World Championships because the game just fits tournament settings and it's so entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm. I was not... I'm not a Splatoon guy myself. I was not too into it, but it was fun. It was energetic, and it was quick. It was very quick. They just keep going, keep changing it up. I like that.
Yeah. And the GG boys from Japan won the tournament, so got to give them a shout out.
And the big final announcement, though, is that this is the very last content update they're doing for Splatoon in a couple days here, which means pretty much it's a soft announcement for, hey, we're going to start working on Splatoon 3 then. So that's exciting. They
didn't flat out say Splatoon 3, but they did kind of hint at it with Splatfest, like the final fest or whatever.
Yeah, if they're starting production on that one, what are they working on next? So you would assume Splatoon 3. It doesn't have to be, but like I'm assuming since it's such a big thing, especially in Japan, like it's Splatoon 3.
Yeah. And then the final tournament they had was the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate World Championship 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And this was good because you and me, I'm sure most people that watched our stuff last year, they know that we're a big couple of fans of Smash.
Mm-hmm. I did think this one was a little slow, though. Just the format they use, where it's like, hey, we'll do a 2v2 and a 1v1, and just like keep on. Like I know they're trying to keep changing it up, but I thought it actually kind of made it a little slower.
Yeah, you did have a good point that they were kind of like dragging it out, but I wish that they had done like a 3v3 and just the 8-player Smash because they were kind of playing locally, weren't they?
Yeah, they were playing locally, or at least they were doing that local multiple switch mode, I think.
Yeah. I didn't really write down anything much for that because nothing really happened aside from it just being Smash.
At the end, we saw Doug Bowser for the first time. I'm sure he's done other things, but this is the first time you and I have seen Doug Bowser as the president. And we saw Sakurai say the DLC characters coming at the Direct.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Japan won Smash Ultimate, and then I just kind of wrote down a note for doing the online open for June 2019, which I still have to do.
You and me both.
And now for the actual Nintendo Direct. The tournaments were fun. They were just a fun little thing to sit down and watch and enjoy with your friends. Mm-hmm. But now we're getting into business.
All right. And
so I'm pretty sure
we had the exact same
first one. Exact same. So I'll let you start off because I don't know their names.
All right, so I don't know all their names either, but this character is just going to be called the Hero, and it is the Dragon Quest main character. And you may say, which Dragon Quest main character? And the answer is 4 of them. Alternate skins, all different characters. One of them being the Luminary from the most recent Dragon Quest game. I don't know the name of the other ones, but yeah, just the Hero is its name. And The character looked good. It looked complex. Looked like it had a lot of layers. And its stage looked really good.
Yeah, it looked really OP. And for, like, the little section where you could choose the attacks, kind of reminded me of Shulk, which for Dragon Quest makes sense.
Yeah, I'm curious to see more of him. I want to play that stage, like, right now. It looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, the Dragon Quest hero, I thought, I didn't think that they were going to do more than, spoiler alert, I didn't think they were going to do more than one announcement for a character. But, so it was kind of disappointing at first, but I do like Dragon Quest's design because of Toriyama. And then when they announced that it wasn't just the new guy, it was all of the protagonists, I was like, alright, that's cool. But I hope that they also have alternate colors for each of those characters.
Yeah, if they do four, each one would have one alternate color. And we actually also see in his Final Smash, there's every single protagonist of every Dragon Quest game in his Final Smash. So that's cool too.
And as someone who likes Dragon Ball, it would be pretty cool to see that one protagonist who has the black hair. I don't know his name, but if he gets like Goku colors, because then that's like a subtle way of Goku being in Smash because of the design, you know?
Yeah. And I liked it. I know that you had like some disappointing feelings, but I liked it a lot. I
was disappointed at first, but then at the end of the direct, I was like, you know what? That Dragon Quest, that's cool, because everybody else that likes Dragon Quest, they get that guy, and then I get that guy that we're going to save for the end.
And then I want to say the trailer was pretty good, too. I liked the trailer. It looked nice, as it always does. And the weird thing, it was set in the World of Light story mode, instead of a lot of them, they just take place wherever. This one was in the World of Light story mode. We see Darkon, one of the villains, and we see some evil, corrupted spirits. So that was all nice.
So, do you think they did that just because it fit the Dragon Quest tone, or do you think they did it because they're subtly hinting at expansion for the World of Light with these DLC characters?
I initially thought it was going to be expansion. Now I just think it's more like just the Dragon Quest. He's the hero. He's saving the world from darkness. That's why they chose the villain Darkon. I think it was just more of a symbolic thing, but if they do more expansions, I know a lot of people weren't crazy for World of Light. I 100%ed it, so I'm cool with doing more. Let's see. Oh, and I like, as always with Smash, I like all the nice touches, all the little bits, like having all the different alternate skins. The stage is constant, just like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's cool. Just every, like, other frame, we're seeing a little something that's just like, oh, that's cool, they did that. The powers and how they work, just all of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm interested to see more of him, so I hope they do a direct, like, sometime soon, showcasing him and the other character that we'll talk about at the end.
They'd have to, just because we don't have a date.
Just because we need more to see.
Well, if you remember for Joker, when we were all waiting for direct for him, and then they just dropped a 20-minute YouTube video and was like, hey, here's everything. So they may do that too. Yeah, so
hopefully they'll do that too for both those characters. And, that's all for my Dragon Quest stuff for Smash, unless you want to talk about that.
No, I don't need to talk about Dragon Quest S, other than just, it looks good. It's additional content on the original one, but the graphics are worse, so it kind of evens out. But what I want to talk about next, and you can tell me if you have this one as well, or if you have another one before this, Link's Awakening.
I have two before that, actually.
All right, go for it.
The first one is kind of just another sly remark. Doug Bowser.
Yeah.
We all love Reggie. We're always going to love Reggie. But Doug Bowser, I think he's got potential.
Starting off on the right foot, right?
Yeah. And the little opening bit with Bowser in a tie, and then him coming in and saying, hey, get out of here, you know?
And I like that
Bowser,
they let him host it, too.
Good guy.
He was the main host. He was allowed to, like, have a presence and show himself. Because that may not seem important, but I think we were attached to the personality of Reggie, and we like the personality of other guys like Phil Spencer. We dislike the personalities of people like Todd Howard. Like, there is just, these people are like characters in a way, right? Like, we have your heroes and your villains, and you want to see them, and you want to have them have a chance to be that, and I think they're giving Doug Bowser that chance.
Yeah. And I feel like Doug Bowser has the potential to be one of those Nintendo quote-unquote characters where it's like, we liked Reggie, we liked Shigeru every so often, we liked seeing Satoru Iwata, we liked seeing Sakurai, and then you got the other character, I'm saying characters.
The personality, person.
And then Yeah, and then you got the other people that are in Nintendo of Japan that haven't been in directs all that much,
And
but you see them and it's like, you know what? You're cool,
And
but
people
you
like
aren't
Bill
like Reggie
Trinan,
cool.
too.
Not to be mean though,
Mhm.
but Doug Bowser's like Reggie cool.
Yeah, and there's that guy. He's the one who revealed the Switch. He was the other guy with Doug Bowser today. He's not the president, I don't believe, but like he's cool. I like the staff and how they present themselves. The PR is good.
Nintendo has the best staff in gaming, in my opinion.
Yeah, or at least the most well presented staff. Like they give them a time to shine.
Yeah. But after Doug Bowser's little bit with Bowser, I wanted to say just a little thing about Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to talk about for sure.
I played the first Luigi's Mansion. It was a good game.
Mhm.
Luigi's Mansion 2, Dark Moon, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I didn't play it, but I heard it was good, and I heard it had good multiplayer. And multiplayer is back for this one,
Mhm.
but we also get another gameplay element called Gooigi, which sounds exactly how you think.
Just I hadn't heard the name like out loud from like a non-official person. Gooigi. Oh, all right.
Gooigi, and then that'll pick up a ghost with the poltergust and then slam it on the ground.
That
like,
was
that's
so
harsh.
funny, and seeing him like pick up a ghost and just like slam him into other ghosts and stuff. And I wonder if it's like motion controlled too. It looked fun.
Maybe.
It actually looked fun.
Yeah, and it's multiplayer, so maybe I'll have to get it. I'll have to get it and check it out.
Mm-hmm.
But now Link's Awakening. What do you think about Link's Awakening?
So how much do you know about Link's Awakening?
I know that it's an old game, and that's it.
All right, so without going to story spoilers, because this game is a heavy story game, this was the first Zelda game without Miyamoto working on it. They presented a bunch of ideas to Miyamoto during a Link to the
Wait,
Past.
hold up. Not to cut you off or anything. It's the first Miyamoto game, but it has Mario characters in it.
It's the first non-Miyamoto game.
Yeah.
Because basically, these were just fans of Nintendo. Like they worked at Nintendo, but they've been fans growing up, and they're just like, hey, Miyamoto won't let us do these things, so we're just gonna work on this project on our side. We're doing a handheld Zelda game. We're just doing it for fun. It was just like a group project between one guy and then another guy saw it, and so it became two guys, and another guy saw it. And so they started doing this group project using ideas that was rejected for A Link to the Past by Miyamoto. And all of a sudden it just blew up into this big thing. And like they're just fans of Nintendo, so it's like, we'll throw Goombas in there. We have Chain Chomps, and here's these Zelda guys. Like they just were having fun. And they have other characters in there too. Like there's a Mario cameo. There's Yoshi cameo.
Oh, so Mario's gonna be in here?
He might. I don't know if they'll keep the cameo, but he was.
Is it like a straight up Mario, or is it kind of like the Majora's Mask Mario, where it's like you go to the store and it's a clerk that looks like Mario?
No, it's like I'll show you afterwards. But there's a few things that are straight on, like you can tell with the Goomba. That's straight up a Goomba. And there's a few of them that are just like, oh, it's just a little hint.
Yeah, like the one that sticks out to me is the Chain Chomp.
Yeah, the game looks good. I like the style. I know some people have
I
issues
do
with
like
the
the
cutesy
style.
style, but I like it. Yeah, this was the first Zelda game that they were like, hey, we're gonna tell a story with this one. And I won't get into the story too much, but it's a pretty good story. It has some twists that you don't expect, and it has an emotional core, and it has characters. Like the person who wakes Link up in the start is like the first character that people like cared about other than Link, Zelda, and Ganon. Like the first character that people were like, oh, this person exists. Before it was just like, here's your main character, here's your person you have to save, and here's the villain. And now it's like, oh, and here's an NPC. Okay, we have more. So
Well, that sounds promising.
Yeah.
As someone who's never played it but knows of the original game's existence.
if you or anyone listening intends to play this, though, go in blind if you can. Like there's definitely some twists and turns, and like if you can just avoid hearing about those, you'll be safe. It'll be a better experience, I think. And I'm not going to go into too much more because I don't want to risk treading into anything. But it looks good.
Did they say if this was gonna be one of those physical games, or is it just gonna be like a eShop exclusive game?
It's physical. I think it may even be full price. I'm not sure though. It's going to be this year as well. They gave a release date.
Well, that's cool. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
After that, what's your next one? Because I think I got a couple before you.
I have Trials of Mana.
I
I don't think you have
do
that
you have
one.
Resident Evil on your list?
You can go for it. No, I don't have it.
I just got a slight remark on this too. Like I said earlier, with the Final Fantasy VII remake, it was kind of getting the Resident Evil 2 remake little thingy. But they're getting new Resident Evil games on the Switch, particularly Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, they added 1, 0, and 4, I want to say, like, last month. So it's just adding on to that. And I wonder if by next year we're talking about this and we can say, hey, they have every Resident Evil game on here. I wonder.
Maybe. I mean... But then I have that, and then you can talk about your mana, and then I got something after that, I think.
Alright. So, do you know the game Secret of Mana?
No.
Alright, so this is this old Square Enix RPG. I believe it actually started out as a Final Fantasy spin-off game, but the mechanics were so different, they just made a whole new world and universe and all stuff called the Mana series. And it's the Secret of Mana is the big one. Everyone really likes the Secret of Mana. It's one of the bigger RPGs of that time, JRPGs. And the last Mana game was in 2007. So
that's a long time.
Yeah, this was the announcement of the sequel after 12 years. So that's why it's a big deal. That's why I just want to talk about it. Like it's a bigger name that hasn't had a sequel for 12 years, and all of a sudden here it is.
I think you said that if you were more into it, it would be a bigger deal.
Yeah. This is also, they said, I believe, that all the prior Mana games, like Secret of Mana and the other ones, the Final Fantasy game even, that it was based on originally, are all on the eShop now, I believe.
Yeah, they said that the entire collection was going to be available. I think they said today. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Today. If it's not today, you can blame Innovative J-Dog. That's fine.
I don't know, but
your next game, then?
That's pretty cool. What's your next one?
My next one is No More Heroes 3, so you could probably go for yours.
I got 2 before that, I think.
Alright, go for it.
So I didn't watch the Pokemon Direct at the beginning of the month.
It was pretty good.
So I kind of want to talk about that, because I kind of heard about the whole Dynamax, or whatever it's called, little system. Where they grow big, right?
Yeah, they grow big, and they have like increased stats, but it only lasts for 3 turns. You can only do it once a battle.
So that kind of changes the whole Pokemon system, but it's kind of similar to what we've known.
Yeah, it has a little thing to it.
I don't know. It's kind of a risky move, but I think it's a risky move that'll pay off.
Well, another thing that you probably don't know about them because you didn't watch it is now when you're exploring the world, you'll see raid battles. And so there'll be this red light shooting off into the sky, and you go to it. And there'll be 3 other online players battling this Pokemon. It'll be a giant Dynamax Pokemon, and you 4 will go against it, and it'll have higher stats so you can catch it. But one of the cool things is, between you 4, you can still only Dynamax 1 time, so you have to make sure the right person's Dynamaxing and all that stuff. And so, just a cool little strategic thing.
Yeah, definitely a lot of stuff that they're doing with Sword and Shield, like innovative-wise. Because, Innovative J-Dog, they're got to be innovative. But
they're changing the routes out now, I think. All the routes are going to be open world now, which is cool.
That's cool. Not much was revealed about Sword and Shield because, like I said, they did a direct, so...
They showed the water gym leader, I think that's it.
Yeah.
So I didn't write it down myself.
Then there's Empire of Sin.
Oh,
did you write that down?
I did not, but I do have some things to say about it.
That was the old little noir-looking game, right?
Yep, that's the one with we see Al Capone in it even.
Yeah. I liked the style of it. The music was good, but the type of game I would have to play in order to like it, I just like that style of game, like the noir type of thing.
Well, something that's cool for it is... based on logos, it looked like it was Switch exclusive, not even PC. And the reason that's a big deal is because the developers are big PC developers, but they were some of the, in my opinion, better just exclusively PC developers. Like they just put out constant, like really good strategy games, stuff like this. So I do trust this game to be pretty good. It's by Paradox Interactive. They do like Crusader Kings 2 and stuff like that. So I have high hopes.
I agree. And then... Do you have Ultimate Alliance 3 on your list? Because that's my next one.
Nah, because I figured you'd talk about it.
Oh, you didn't write it down?
No, I figured you'd talk about it.
All right, well, we'll talk about this, and then we can go to No More Heroes, and then we
Right.
can kind of just meet up at... I'm sure we have the next one after that.
I do not think so.
Let's talk about Ultimate Alliance 3 real quick.
Mhm.
So they showed new gameplay. They got some character spotlights, such as Ghost Rider and Elektra.
Hmm.
And those were actually from expansion packs featuring Marvel Knights, X-Men, and the Fantastic Four.
Oh, was that what that was?
Yeah, so they were like showing off
Oh.
characters from expansion packs.
I thought that was characters that were going to be in the base game and then added on. That makes that less exciting.
Yeah, I was thinking like, hey, look, Ghost Rider, and then it showed like expansion pack, and then it had the Marvel Knights logo, X-Men. I'm not sure if it's like all the X-Men. They showed Wolverine, but I'm sure Wolverine is in the base game.
Wolverine is in the base game. Magneto is playable in the base game. Psylocke is playable in the base game. And I know that... I'm pretty sure that Beast is in the base game as well. One of the weird omissions is... we don't know about Cyclops. We haven't seen him at all yet. So, but yeah, a few of them are playable in the base.
And then it also had Fantastic Four. So, like, I don't know. Maybe it's free expansion. I didn't really get to see it before it kind of
It is
shut
not
off.
free. They said pre-purchase. And the reason that's weird that this is then for that is that they said this DLC starts in the fall. So this stuff is not close.
Yeah, and this game comes out, like, next month.
It comes out
Or
next
later
month.
this month.
It comes out next 1 month and 6 days.
Next month? Yeah, next month. Okay.
And so that's that is a little distant. I did not know those were DLC characters.
Well, I could be wrong, but I just saw the word expansion pack.
Yeah, I recall the expansion pack, but I did not think it was attached to it for whatever reason.
Yeah, but that's mainly what I just saw from Ultimate Alliance 3. The game itself looks really fun, and as a longtime fan of Ultimate Alliance, I like that they're going the Thanos route, but it is kind of weird how they have the first two games be kind of like edgy and real looking, and then this one's like, hey, look, cartoons, because it's the MCU.
I think that's the Nintendo influence, actually. It's very much the
That could be
Nintendo
true.
being in there.
It kind of reminds me of like the Marvel Champions and like Marvel Future Fight and all those mobile games that they have right now.
It feels a lot more comic booky to me.
Yeah.
The other ones, like, they were comic booky as well, but they were like that was like an edgy era of comic books and just like entertainment in general. Whereas now it's just like, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is a big thing. Thor Ragnarok happened. Like, it's a lot more colorful and like it's like that, like Ultimate Alliance 3. So I feel like that may be why.
I'm not sure if you noticed this, but this has kind of been common knowledge for just a little bit, like a couple months, I think. The voice of Miles is the same voice as Spider-Man PS4's Miles and the Miles in the Marvel Spider-Man cartoon, the cartoon that kind of sucks.
I had heard the voice, I knew I recognized, but I wasn't sure if that was I wasn't sure which Miles it was from because I knew I recognized the voice. I just wasn't sure whose voice. I was trying to look it up, but they didn't have the information public at that point, so I was like, I guess not now. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was Spider-Man PS4 Miles, and I'm not sure if they have confirmed. Oh wait, they actually confirmed Venom's voice actor. Darren Norris, I think that's his name. He voices Cosmo in Fairly Odd Parents, but he's also the voice of like the 2000s game Spider-Man. He's a really good Venom.
Yeah, I like him a lot as an actor. He's in Ned's Classified as well. As just an actor.
Yeah, Ned's Declassified. I like that show, but this is E3.
Oh yeah,
so I can't
my
talk
bad.
about
My
it.
bad.
Unless if there's a Ned's game coming out.
Yeah, this is what I'm messing at the treehouse right now. Then the next one I want to talk about is if you're done with Marvel Heroes. Oh, sorry, on the Ultimate Alliance. I want to talk about No More Heroes 3. So,
all right.
No More Heroes 1 and 2 were Wii games. They were like the M-rated Wii games. There was one other game, but these were like the two big ones. And the first one did eventually go to Xbox and PlayStation, but that second one stayed on the Wii. And they have a big fan base behind them. And then when they were announcing the Switch, they were doing the big Switch reveal, they showed Travis Strikes Back, a spin-off game, and it didn't sell well at all. People, like, it didn't review well, it didn't sell well, and so people were just like, oh, I guess we'll never get that No More Heroes 3. We'll never complete the trilogy. Like, the just hope was gone. Like, there hasn't been a No More Heroes since 2010, a mainline one. And then this one didn't sell well. It must be done. And then not even a year after that game flopped, it's like, hey, no, we're good. We are good to go. Here comes the third one. So
yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I had I don't remember the exact name of the magazine. It wasn't Nintendo Power, but it was it was a gaming magazine, but it had an advertisement for No More Heroes in it, and I was like, wow, that's edgy.
It's definitely, it has fun. It may seem edgy, but it has fun from what I've seen. I haven't played myself, but if they bring the first two over, I'm down to play them on the Switch. But yeah,
Not my type of thing, but it's interesting.
And the next one I actually don't think we have in common is
What's your
Panzer
next
Dragoon.
That is not what I have.
Alright, so Panzer Dragoon is another one of these games that have not had another game in a while. Panzer Dragoon was a launch title on the Sega Saturn, and people loved it. It's still hailed as the best on-rails shooter of all time. Because there's not a lot of those games. This one is the best. Not a lot of competition. And they made 5 of the games, but between the Saturn and the last one came out on the original Xbox, there has not been another Panzer Dragoon game since 2002. Ooh. So all of a sudden they just announced today, hey, we're doing a remake of the very first Panzer Dragoon game, and it's not necessarily something I've played before. It's not something I'm necessarily interested in, but it's just another game which is hey, this old game that you've not played in a while, this game that has not been relevant in a while other than people who are into these on-rail shooters, we're doing another one after, 16 years. And there was no rumors about it, no leaks. It's just here it is. So.
Yeah. It first started and I was like, oh, Spyro got jacked. Because it looked like Spyro, and then it was, then you recognized it, and I was like, how's he recognize that?
I recognized a lot of these ones. I'm kind of surprised. The other conferences, I was getting a lot wrong all the time, and then all of a sudden Nintendo comes out, and it's oh, these games that haven't been existed since 2002, I got it. But, yeah. So that's all I want to say there.
Yeah.
Just let you know that, hey, this game, while not a big deal to us, is a pretty big deal to other people. It is just... To some people, I'm sure they're freaking out, this has made their E3. It's the best E3 of all time. This is their game, so... Just worth noting.
And that's the best thing about E3. Something that doesn't speak out to us speaks out to someone else.
Oh,
so,
for sure.
Even though we like to talk crap about some of these games and conferences, I'm sure some other people are like, hey, I liked it.
And what's your next one? Because it may not be... just let me know what your next one is before I go on to what my next one is.
My next one is Cadence of Hyrule.
I did not include this one. All right, go for it.
Oh, you didn't?
Nope.
I didn't really write anything down alongside it. I just wrote... Because they kind of announced a lot of Zelda games in this.
This one was in the Nindies a couple months back, I think in April.
The Cadence of Hyrule?
Yeah. So what's cool about it is this is the first time that they're other than I think Hyrule Warriors, they're just hey, studio that's not Nintendo, here's our IP, have fun with it. And they've been doing that a lot with the Switch and Wii U. Like I said, Hyrule Warriors, and you have Mario plus Rabbids. Just giving other companies a shot, and this is the first time it's been on an indie scale, which yeah, this random small studio that just did a game that we really liked. Here you go. And it's all because of Miyamoto, I believe. He played the Crypt of the Necrodancer, which was their previous game, and he liked it so much he contacted them and was hey, do you want to do a Zelda game, a Zelda spin-off as a spin-off to both Zelda and Crypt of the Necrodancer, because I liked your game that much. And they said, how could I say no to Zelda? So
yeah. I like how they're doing this with Zelda, and then they had the Mario and Rabbids thing, but yet I wish that they kind of supported fan-made games using engines and assets from their actual games, kind of like Super Mario 64 Online. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, just the mod that lets you play it online.
Yeah, there was they were remaking. There was another person that was remaking Super Mario 64, but in the Unity engine, I think, or it was the Unreal Engine. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah,
and
I've heard
it
about
got
that one.
shut down by Nintendo real quick because it was basically the same game but just upgraded. And so I kind of wish Nintendo, I mean, it's understandable that they shut these things down, but I kind of wish that they took what they're doing with this game and with other games like Hyrule Warriors and Rabbids and they're giving it new life, but with an official seal of approval that they still get like benefits from it.
Well, one thing that I noticed a lot with some of the older mods, like the big one is another Metroid 2 remake. There's these big projects that people are making, and another Metroid 2 remake specifically, it was public for a while and they just kept posting updates. Like it wasn't out, but like people knew that this game was existing and was being worked on, and it released. And after it was released for like a couple hours, Nintendo then took it down after they knew what was happening this whole time. But it's just like Nintendo kind of let this thing develop and let it get out into the world, so like people can still go and play this game. This game is out there, just not by the person who made it. Like his project is still out there, and he was selling it for free as it is. So it's just like, hey, we let you put your thing out there, and now we're gonna block it because we have to protect our intellectual property. But we like what you did, and I believe they actually hired the guy who did that to work on some other things. So,
That's good. But yeah, like I was saying, Cadence of Hyrule looked really good. It looked like a fun game, like a kind of like the Link to the Past game.
Yeah.
And I wish that they were kind of doing that with Super Mario 64 Online, where you can like play as Waluigi or Toad or Wario or Yoshi. And it's like, I want that stuff to stay as it is, but I just want Nintendo to be like, hey, we are cool with that stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, who knows? Next E3, maybe we'll get the Mario E3. This was a very Zelda E3. Maybe next year we're getting Odyssey 2, and we'll get the 64 online, and who knows?
Yeah. And I actually said this to you and our friend group when we were watching the tournaments, but I watch Minus World, like Nathaniel Bandy, Simple Flips, and all that stuff, and they do the speed runs on Super Mario 64 Online. This doesn't have anything to do with E3, but they do like the 10 YouTubers versus one speedrunner to see who's better at what, you know?
Yeah.
And I would love to see like an official Nintendo hosted Super Mario 64, or even Super Mario 64 Online if they accept that type of stuff, like an officially held tournament, a speedrunning tournament, and it's like, that would just be so much fun, kind of like in the Splatoon World Championships, where it's like, I don't care about it, but it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Cadence of Hyrule, pretty cool. We didn't really talk about it except for it looking like Link to a Past, but its concept is cool.
And then next I had Astral Chain. I don't know if you had this one at all.
I don't. My next one is Mario and Sonic.
All right, so that'll be after this one. So Astral Chain is a game, like this is the one that's already a pre-order for me. I'm into it a lot, but it is a new Nintendo IP made by Platinum, who makes Bayonetta and all that stuff. And the game looks good. The combat looks fluid, but one of the most impressive things about it is the people that are working on it. The director is the guy who was the lead designer in Nier Automata. And the guy who's supervising the full game and all the staff is the guy who did Devil May Cry, Okami, and Bayonetta. And the designs are done by the guy, the manga artist for a manga named Zetman, which I don't know if you've read that one or seen it at all, but I read that years ago. And the designs on it are really good, especially in the manga. The art is really good. The story is okay, but the art is some of the best in the biz. So it's just like I was talking about with that Elden Ring game, just like the best people coming together for a game. And so I'm looking forward to that one a lot. And we saw a lot of stuff here. We saw, I think at the end of it, they were showing like one of the characters dying. And I'm guessing you have to choose which one is going to be your character at that point then. And your goal is to save the other one. That's like the story's goal is to rescue them or something like that. But yeah, it just looks good.
It looked really interesting, but it wasn't my type of game. It looked very much like one of those generic... I mean, I shouldn't say generic because it was very visually appealing, but it's like one of those games where if you're not into anime or manga, it's like, oh, it's another anime or manga game. So it kind of looked like that type of game, but it had content behind it that was cool looking, but it didn't appeal to me. So, I don't know. That's what I personally think.
All right. Well, yeah, I just want to mention that one quick because I was pretty confident that probably wasn't going to get a mention, so...
But yeah, the next one for me is Mario and Sonic. Do you have that one too?
I do have that one.
So I thought it was cool. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic. It's I don't know if
it's
it was
at the
just called
2020
Mario
Olympics.
and Sonic at the Olympic Games, wasn't it?
It was 2020 Olympics.
Oh, they didn't say Tokyo 2020?
I don't believe so. The name I saw when I looked online was just at the 2020 Olympics, but it could be one of those things where that was just someone taking the name they saw from the trailer, not the official name, and who knows?
Yeah. But I think it looked very cool for a Mario and Sonic Olympic game. Like, it had surfing and all that stuff, and it had the generic Mario and Sonic characters teaming up. I still want to see a Mario and Sonic game that is like a crossover, that is like platforming and stuff.
Well, for me, like, my stream actually was lower quality at this point, so that's unfortunate. But what it looked like is this game looked like the games were more in depth than they were before.
Yeah. I haven't been in a Mario and Sonic at the Olympics ever since like the first one, 2008.
Yeah, I'm only referring to the first one as well. But hey,
Yeah.
10 years, 12 years, and we're back.
Yeah. They're drawing me back in, and maybe it's because I know they're probably not going to do it because of licensing issues, but hey, Goku, mascot of the 2020 Olympics, alongside Naruto, is Luffy too, and then like some other
Luffy,
characters.
Sailor Moon, just like the main ones. Like, you know the ones, like Pikachu's going to be probably in there. You know the ones.
Yeah, are we going to see them, or are they just not going to be there because of licensing?
I doubt
I would
they'll
love
be
to
there.
see Goku, though.
But maybe they'll be there on like a little poster thing or something. I could also
That'd
see
be really cool.
maybe some connection to other Nintendo franchises or other Sega franchises being possible.
Yeah, kind of like how they have been doing that lately, where it's like Mario Kart, but it's got Link and Animal Crossing in it.
Yeah.
So like maybe they'll do that.
Yeah, I'm interested, and it, like I said, the gameplay looks better than the one 12 years ago did, which it should look better, but it's just each little game they showed, like the little bit we saw, it looked like it could have been a game based just around that.
Yeah.
Mechanically, at
not
least.
much to say on that. I would probably buy it right straight up, if it had Goku.
And then, is your next one a big one? Because if it's a big one, then I have 3 small ones.
My next one is the big one.
All right, so I have 3 small ones. They're not small ones, but I don't have a lot to say about them. So these ones I'm just holding off for just quick mentions. Fire Emblem had a trailer, and the issue with the Fire Emblem trailer is this game is coming out next month, so they're not showing off a lot. It was a big story trailer, though. It looks good. It was all cinematics. Yeah, just looks good. Just want to give it a quick mention. Same with
Not much to say about Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
I like Lucina, but Lucina's not in that game, so.
Yeah. Then there's Daemon X Machina, which I've actually played Daemon X Machina, and I'll tell you right now, before I played it, whatever, like the trailers they looked like a lot of noise. It didn't look that good. But this is a game that needs to be played to be like, you get it. As soon as you play it, it's just like, oh, this is a good game.
I'll have to check it out, because while I was watching that trailer, I was literally thinking, wow, that's loud.
Yeah, the demo's on the eShop. I don't think a lot of people are playing it. So, like, if it looks possibly interesting to you at all, like, just give it a shot, because the trailers don't look that good. Whoever's editing the trailers, I don't know if they're doing a bad job or the game just doesn't have a lot of watchability value, but it plays well. It reminds me of, like, Warframe mixed with Gundam, and it's just, there's a lot of things going on. It reminds me of Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Machina.
And
Oh, yeah.
all that stuff.
Machina, Days like Machina. My bad.
Yeah. But yeah, just want to give that one a quick mention. And then finally, I think we would be failing our job if we didn't mention Animal Crossing.
That was my next big one before
okay.
something tiny, and then the bigger one.
I assume that was
So, Animal Crossing New Horizons. I am not a big fan of Animal Crossing. I do like Nintendo stuff, though, so I do want to play Animal Crossing one day, because I feel like it'd just be a nice, calm little thing.
I played the first Animal Crossing, and I didn't really like it that much. And then I played New Leaf, and I didn't really like it that much. And I don't think I'll probably play this one. But the reason I don't like it is not because it's a bad game. At its core, I do not like one of the mechanics, just for a personal reason. And that's that everything follows the same, like, a minute in real life is a minute there, and, like, if it's 7:20 here, it's going to be 7:20 there. And I just don't like that just because, like, the shops close at a reasonable time. So it's like, oh, if you're trying to play this game at 11 p.m., well, sorry, all the stores aren't open. Or, like, hey, if you're not willing to come back and play this game every so often, like, people will, like, leave your town, or crops may not be tended to that well, and it's just like, that's cool and all. And it's a good mechanic for what this game is, but it's not a mechanic for what I'm into. That being said, it looked like good additions to the formula. It's just not a game for me.
It's like an ideal game for kids, if you put it like that, because kids have all the time in the world when they're not at school, and they can do all that. But then if you're an adult who has to work and come home and do all the adult stuff, then you're not going to have time to do anything.
We say after we just spent the last 4 days watching E3.
Yeah. But, you know, I have never played Animal Crossing, like I said. We used to think that Amiibo Festival was pretty bad. You probably still do, because of you have to play it with amiibos and the cards and all that. But I actually have seen like Giant Bomb play it, and it's a jolly good time.
Yeah, it's not my thing, but the other thing I want to talk about though for Animal Crossing is the delay. It was originally just said, hey, it's going to come out in 2019, and that was back in September last year. And so they just dropped the release date here, and it's going to be March 20th, 2020 again. Another 2020 game. And so, yeah, just a delay. And I want to talk about it just because, hey, that sucks, but also it's another big 2020 game.
Yeah, so I agree.
And then...
But, do you have anything else to say before the big reveal?
Nope. I have one game left, and then we have what you want to talk about here. But I have one game left after that, and you can guess what it is.
Oh yeah, I got something before that. But it's only like a little sly remark again. Alien Isolation is coming to the Nintendo Switch, and personally, I don't know. I thought it was already on the Switch.
I'm not sure. Or maybe it was already announced for the Switch because it was just in the little quick cut thing, the montage. So maybe it was already announced, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I like the Alien movies. They're not the best, but they're not the worst. They're pretty good. I like the game. The game is like... If I like Slender and Outlast, you obviously know I like Alien Outlast. Or Insulation. Alien Outlast. Alien Isolation. That's what I meant. That's a good game. It's coming to the Switch. That's all I gotta say.
Alright. And now your big thing, probably the biggest thing for you, maybe even all E3, I'm not sure. But
now
definitely this
is
conference.
The biggest thing for me besides Dragon Ball Z Kakarot and Avengers before I actually saw Avengers. Because I still like Avengers, but it's kind of up in the air at this point right now.
So right now this is either like somewhere first, second, or third biggest thing for you.
Yeah.
Alright.
So if you guys remember last year, and if you've seen my follow-up video to E3 2019... you may know that I was a little bit disappointed that Bomberman was not going to be in Smash as a character. He was an assist trophy, and I don't know why I'm mentioning this because it doesn't tie it into anything. But last year I was pretty disappointed. This year, though, I wanted Bomberman, and I didn't get him, but there was one other character that I wanted. And he was the only character that I wanted that actually made logical sense besides Waluigi and Goku. And he was Banjo-Kazooie.
Woo!
Banjo is in Smash now.
And he looks good.
He doesn't look like his shitty ass Nuts and Bolts. I'm just kidding. He doesn't look that bad in Nuts and Bolts, but
he looks better
Banjo,
here.
and he's got a good stage, and he's got good music, and he had a good trailer, and he's here, and he makes up for Bomberman's assist trophy. You know.
So there's a lot of things to talk about this one. Yeah, the character looks good. The stage looks great. The music sounds good. I actually really like that stage. That may be like, we haven't seen it like in play, but like just what we saw, like environmentally wise, it may be like a top tier stage. But one thing that I want to talk about is just how this is a collaboration now between Microsoft and Nintendo for like officially for a game. Those two have collaborated now. And that is nuts.
So that's a really big deal.
Imagine like this like 10 years ago saying like, oh yeah, Nintendo and Microsoft are going to work together, and they're still going to be like competing consoles, but they're going to work together on a game. And it's going to be an exclusive thing too.
This makes me wonder. Do you think we'll get a Sony exclusive character in Smash as one of the last two slots?
Someone could argue that Joker already is. Like he's in Persona Q, but this is the rendition of him that's only on the PlayStation. It's the Persona 5 version, so and Joker is coming to Switch later, but that was not announced until afterwards too. So, yeah, I think this may be a we may have already had that with Joker, if you want to argue that. So, Joker and Banjo are like these exclusive characters who are now both playing in Nintendo's court, and it's huge for me. And I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, like I have always wanted Bomberman because I grew up with Bomberman, but Banjo has always been one of those characters where it's like his game is similar enough to Mario 64, and I've played it and it's super fun that I just want to see him because he fits in the world of Nintendo just like Bomberman does, and he has had a place in Nintendo's history even though he's not developed directly by Nintendo themselves.
And it's the return to Nintendo for Banjo after 20 years.
Yeah, like Rare shut down and went to Microsoft, and then we got Nuts and Bolts 10 years ago. And Banjo 3E got shut down. Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, they were early 2000s, late 90s-ish. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, but it was N64 life cycle, so...
Yeah, this is really big.
Yeah, it's a revival for the character. It's a cooperation between the two, and it is the return of that character to Nintendo. It's a lot of big things, not even from a gameplay aspect at all. It's just what this means is it could be big, or it could just be this one little thing, but even this one little thing is huge.
Yeah. And before we talk about anything else about the Smash DLC, Dragon Quest, the hero character, he comes out sometime in summer of this year, and Banjo comes out in fall of this year, which I think they said November?
They just said fall. I don't think there's a date. Something interesting, though, is we have 2 more characters then, and I believe on the Battle Pass it says all the characters will be out by January 2020. So
that means that they're going to get 2 characters within...
winter, yeah.
Yeah.
Or one in winter, one in, still winter, but 2020 winter.
That's true. So there's 2 slots left after this because we got, excluding Piranha Plant, we got Joker as the first DLC fighter, the hero from Dragon Quest is the second, and then Banjo. And they are all from newly represented franchises. What do you think the final 2 will be? Who do you think they'll be? We're going to speculate right now.
I am so open to any character they want to do, but I don't know who it would be if you could pin it down. I think... Yeah,
actually... I'm in this. Before I say anything, I'm actually in the same boat as you, because you were saying how you just wanted Joker, and then right out the gate you got Joker, and now you're just open.
Yeah, whatever.
I wanted Bomberman. Totally cool. He's in the game. He can have a potential slot in the future, like Little Mac did. So does Waluigi. Goku would be nice, but he doesn't make any sense. And if I can get him as an alternate costume for that black-haired Dragon Quest character, I would love that. But Banjo-Kazooie was the one that I really wanted. So,
yeah, the thing is too, they said it couldn't be people from the year prior to this because they'd started development on this. They decided who the characters were going to be all at the same time. Hey, we'll develop these characters for the main game, but then we'll use our extra development time afterwards for these DLC guys after the game comes out. So they already decided all these characters right away. So it couldn't be a really recent character. That's why Rex from Xenoblade isn't in there. He just has
but he
has a costume. Yep. So any Switch characters are out basically. I don't know.
I really don't care who gets in, but if I had to speculate, even though they're both Microsoft representatives, I think Steve is a really big choice. Like Steve from Minecraft, because then even if you don't have Master Chief from Microsoft, you still have 2 Microsoft representatives in Banjo and Steve, kind of like how Capcom has 2, technically 3, and then Sega has 2 or 3, I think.
I'm just saying, after this, the only big crossover they have left, you can't do this, is to leave video games behind.
Yeah, and that's when you bring in Goku.
Yeah, either that or, a real-life... live action character. I don't know. That, but
what would you do if they made
Xbox
Sakurai the last DLC fighter?
Make it Reggie as a send off. No, We already have Reggie as a Mii fighter. We've done that. You wanted to. Um, yeah, I am down for literally any character they could throw at, like, as long as it plays fine. I don't care, because I believe that Sakurai has like visions for the characters he picks. Like, he's not doing it just because like, oh, this is the best character for this. He's doing it because like, hey, I know how this character could work in this format. And I think you see that like the Dragon Quest character has a weird moveset, but clearly that was like they made it work for Smash. Like, he's got something weird that's only him. So
I know that Sakurai is still behind some of the characters, but I thought Nintendo as the company was going to be picking the DLC fighters.
What Nintendo did is they gave him a huge list of characters and was like, hey, pick 5 of these guys. And Saga was like, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So yeah, they gave him a list, and from what I know, it is both Nintendo characters and non-Nintendo characters. He's like, and so he said, hey, I want the Dragon Quest main character, I want... Well, he probably just said the main character, the new one's the Luminary, and then he's like, wait, I can make this into a bunch of characters. I want Joker, because that's his favorite franchise, so they gave him the option. It's like, I want it. It's like, and I want Banjo.
Yeah. I know that you aren't a big fan of leaks, but with Dragon Quest technically coming to the DLC list, like the black-haired guy, because he was going to be the main guy, but now he's technically part of the little quartet.
Yeah.
And then Banjo is also part of the list. I'm going to kind of talk about a leak, but it's not really confirmed. Would that be okay, or do you want me to just skip over it?
I would say if you want to do it, that's fine, but make sure you put plenty of warning and a timestamp in the video, just so people who don't want to hear it can move over.
Alright, so it's most likely not confirmed, but he was mentioned alongside Joker and the black-haired Dragon Quest character, but this was in a leak that didn't include Banjo, so it's most likely not true. Doom Guy.
I've heard theories about that one before.
What do you think about, like,
when does Doom
rated
Eternal
M
come out?
game characters coming into Smash, like Scorpion, Sub-Zero,
Well, we have Bayonetta.
Master Chief.
Bayonetta fights by taking off her clothes, right? So we have that. Like, we have that in spades. So, yeah.
But like I said, it's not really a confirmed leak, so take it with a grain of salt. I will put spoilers up kind of in the video, and I asked because I know that you don't like leaks all that much.
Yeah, I've heard that theory before. I think if they were going to do it, they'd want to time it around Doom Eternal since it's so close, and it is going to be on the Switch. I don't know. The issue for me is almost all the other characters with just regular old soldier characters are kind of not fun to play as. Like, even Snake, I play as him sometimes. It's just like, oh, you're pretty slow. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like Snake got the short end of the stick this time around, because back in Brawl, sure, it was like they didn't want guns, but now you got Joker and you got Bayonetta and you got all these people with guns, and it's like Snake still has explosives.
Yeah. These slow explosives, they do a lot of damage, but they can't hit.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's mainly all we got to say about Banjo, unless you want to add anything else. The stage is great. I loved the trailer.
Yeah, I was going to say the trailer.
They tried to do the cop-out for King K. Rool again.
Yeah, they played with that again, which I liked it. Kind of, like, it made it obvious that it was a cop-out. But at the same time, like, it's... The reveal of Banjo was still that slow, like, wait, what's that silhouette that's, like, in the... What's the shadow? Not the silhouette. What's that shadow? And then you see the silhouette, and it's like, oh, it is okay.
Yeah.
And so, like, it took me a few seconds to be like,
I think the most hype thing about that
Kazooie.
trailer was when they replayed the trailer and it looked exactly the same as the King K. Rool trailer, but then it had like King K. Rool laying down next to Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, and I was like, are we getting another Donkey Kong rep? Which I would have been fine with, but eh. And then you saw that little puzzle piece, the jigsaw, and it was like, oh boy.
Yeah, I did not, like, I was just putting that together now. I was trying to figure out what that gold thing was thrown was, because I didn't even see the shape of it fully. It's going to be cool to see reactions of, like, diehard fans who are just like, wait, that's the puzzle piece. That's Banjo.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's it for Banjo and Smash. Smash is doing really good.
Now for the actual big gun.
Yeah, now for the big gun. That wasn't my big gun, but I'm still pretty hyped for it because I like Breath of the Wild, even though I haven't played it yet. But
Yes.
spoilers.
Breath of the Wild 2, baby. It has some cool stuff for lore. I won't get into it too much because it is kind of spoilery. But just such a cool trailer. Like, it went. If someone was thinking of like Breath of the Wild 2, I don't think they were pitching a certain mummified character appearing in a different body than what we saw him in. I can't go too far, can I, without spoilers? It's cool. A lot of neat stuff.
All we mainly gotta say is they showed off something using Breath of the Wild assets, and they said that a sequel is in development.
Which we kind of knew that it was in development, but I didn't know that was enough in development for them to show us story. Like that was ideas they have for the story of how to continue it, right? So it has gone past at least the initial writing phases. They feel confident enough this story is sticking, and we can show this and like lock it in. Like this is something that's going to happen. So I am.
So
in.
you kind of mentioned this. I'm sorry about that. What?
I just said I'm into this game. Like, I'm in.
Yeah, I still need to play through the first one, but what I've seen of the first one, no doubt one of the better Zelda games. And I love Ocarina of Time. I love Majora's Mask just a tiny bit more, and I like Wind Waker. But I don't know. This one is definitely like Breath of the Wild getting a sequel, like a direct sequel too.
It's happened loose sequel. Like Majora's Mask is a loose sequel if you like can read the subtext, and there's other things that's like, hey, it's a loose sequel if you can read the everything's like connected in loose ways. You can find the sequel, but this one they say the direct sequel to Breath of the Wild. Like Breath of the Wild 2 is a fair name to call it right now. That's never happened ever. Like even Zelda 2 isn't like a direct sequel in the same way. So this is the first time this has happened, and that's cool just from a Zelda franchise perspective.
So, you kind of mentioned this after the Direct ended, and we went right into the Treehouse section. You were expecting a 2022 release, or like a 2022 release date, right?
Yeah, that was the time between announcement for Breath of the Wild to release date was that same time span that would make it be from today to 2022. And I don't know if it's the same thing, but
Breath of the Wild was 2014 to 2017.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, with Breath of the Wild, they at least showed like, here's what Link looks like. Here's what an enemy looks like. Here's the world. It's a little bit. It wasn't a great like huge scale trailer, and it was like I think cinematic, maybe not real models, like in-game models, but they showed a little bit. And then here they didn't even show that. Like they showed some new models, but the world is clearly the old one. The some of the characters that show up are the old ones with new costumes, I believe, but like there's a lot of things that are just like it's not as in development as the other one was. It wasn't this far into like concepts that the art is so set. Yeah,
they're definitely going to be able to push this release date a little bit forward because of them being able to reuse assets from the first game.
Well, I just think of Majora's Mask. I think it came out like a pretty close. I don't know if it was a year, but it was pretty close to Ocarina of Time.
And that's because they used like literally the same exact game, just with a different story, and added like tiny little things.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm hopeful, and I'm excited.
But even though this was one of the bigger things that Nintendo announced alongside the two Smash characters in Banjo and the Dragon Quest character, we don't know anything about this game. We don't know if they're going to expand upon the map. We don't know if they're going to even give us someone else to play as. Like, I heard people saying that we might play as Zelda.
It seemed like it might go that way. And I do want to say, like, we don't know anything about gameplay, but we do know, like you were saying earlier, a little bit about story. Like, they're that far that they can give us the story.
But yeah, we can't really, because like you said, it is a spoiler. But I'm sure that, you know, they might add on to stuff, and even if they reuse the same world from Breath of the Wild, it's a big enough world that it's not that bad, you know?
Well, even if they just, like, let's say they wiped a lot of it, like, clean, they just used, like, the base world and just built up different things to it. Like, have, like, the towns be, like, more advanced or more spread out. Have it be, like, more civilized and stuff like that. Like, you could change the map up enough that it's like, oh, okay, I'm exploring these places that I already know, but it's totally in a different way. It's like you know the landscape, but you don't know the stuff on the land.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. I feel like, now that you mentioned that, I want them to do that.
Mm.
My initial thought was, I don't know if they're gonna do it, but like they might want to explore like underworld stuff, maybe.
Well, in the trailer, we do see them going underground in a location that we did not have access to. So maybe.
Not only does the map, not only can it be like linear, like on one level, but we can go up, we can go down, we can expand upon what's already there, like you just said. Anything can happen.
Oh, and I haven't watched the trailer again, so this may be wrong, but I believe we saw the thing that they were riding on. I believe is a new creature that we didn't see in Breath of the Wild. So that's exciting too.
Maybe.
I believe I don't want to confirm that. Like I was just freaking out because it was new Breath of the Wild game, so I didn't take in everything. But I believe the creature they were riding on is a new creature to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but that's all we know. A sequel's in development, and I still have to play the first one.
Well, I'm sure you have some time to do that.
But that's mainly all our thoughts. Oh, voice crack. Huh. That's mainly all our thoughts on all of the 6 conferences. 6, I believe, without Sony.
Yeah.
That's our thoughts on all the conferences so far for this E3. And the tournaments too. So right now, let's just go and rate all of the conferences, starting with EA. What would you rate EA?
I think a 3.
A 3?
Yeah, I gave it like I don't remember what I gave it before, just like when we were watching as a group. But the thing is, now we've seen the best thing that had Star Wars done better elsewhere. So
yeah,
it's hard to.
That's actually what I was thinking too, because they would have been higher if another company had not had Star Wars. Because we're just going off of the EA before the tournament, not the EA Play stuff.
Yep.
So I would rate it a 3 as well, because of just Star Wars and little things of Battlefield and Apex, even though I didn't really care about them that much.
But even those were just like, they're okay.
Yeah. So both a 3 out of 10 for us, right?
Yep. Then we have Xbox. What do you want to give Xbox?
Xbox is They had a lot of stuff like they do every year, so it's kind of unfair to compare them to other conferences. But I think this year they had more stuff that appealed to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a better year this year than normally.
I don't remember what I.
They have the new Elite controller too, which is cool.
Yeah, I don't have an Xbox One though, so like the exclusives don't really appeal to me. But thankfully, they don't have good exclusives. I'm just kidding.
Well, Battletoad. But also, they're saying all these things are available on Windows PC, so they are open to more people.
Yeah, but Xbox, I would rate an 8.
I'm just gonna give it like a 8.5. 8.7. Why not? It's E3.
If we're going with the points, EA solid 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a solid 3. I don't need to change that one.
Xbox 8.9.
Oh, okay, that's a big jump.
Yeah, so almost a 9, not quite a 9.
This next one, I don't know where to rank it. I know it's low.
Bethesda. You said your Xbox rating, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Bethesda, I would give. Actually, let's go with your rating first, because I want to hear what that is.
So here's the thing. I'm stuck thinking, do I prefer EA showing up and having nothing to show, or Bethesda showing up and being awful? Like, is nothing better or is bad better? Because I'm ranking it compared to EA, and I don't feel like they're the same level of bad, but I don't know which one's worse, because they're bad in different ways. I'll give it Bethesda. I'll give it a 2.8.
2.8. That is worse than EA for sure.
Yes.
For me, I would rate Bethesda just based off of their new IPs and what they showed of Doom Eternal. They could have gone more in depth with Doom Eternal, but they didn't that much.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna go 3.5. Ghostwire Tokyo was pretty cool.
So it's a 3.5 for you?
That's 3.5. We're gonna retcon that last score.
I'm
Ghostwire
gonna
Tokyo is too cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Bethesda a 4.7.
Alright.
So below average, but they had enough new IP and stuff that I wanted to see that was good enough. But you definitely swayed my opinion of them because they had so many mobile games, and that Fallout Nuclear Winter.
Well, the thing is too, like, let's just like eliminate cinematic stuff, right? All they had is Wolfenstein and Doom gameplay and mobile games and Fallout and Rage 2.
Yeah.
Like everything that they had that was good, that was not a cinematic that we saw gameplay of, was just Doom and Wolfenstein. Meanwhile, it's 4 mobile games.
So 4.7 for me and a 3.5 for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ubisoft is next. I would rate Ubisoft, I'll give it a 6. A solid 6.
I'm gonna give it a 7.3.
I give it a... Actually, no, not a solid 6. I'll give it a... Scratch that. A 6.6.
Watchdogs 3 was really good, and I don't... Even though they had, like, some low points, I don't feel like any point, like, was like, oh, this sucks, or oh, this is boring. It's just like, okay, not my thing, on to the next.
Yeah, to me, I think what they had that didn't appeal to me, I wasn't really into it, but then they had good stuff. So
Watch Dogs 3.
They had what they had that was good to me was really, really good. And then the other stuff, they just didn't have games that appealed to me. So above average, but it's still kind of average, you know?
Alright. And then kind of funny games.
Kind of funny.
It is hard to say anything bad about kind of funny, because even if like you didn't like a lot of things that were there, like you were just neutral to them, and you liked that it existed, right?
I liked what they did for these indie companies, and I liked how quick they were. So I'm gonna give them. I'm gonna give them a 7.9.
I was gonna give them an even 7. I don't think they're better than Ubisoft, but I enjoyed it, and I'm watching it again next time.
Yeah, I was actually when we were waiting for Square Enix and we didn't have anything else to do. I was like, you know what? Let's just watch it. We don't have anything else to do, and then I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it was good vibes, and obviously there's some good character to it, some charm, personality.
Yeah. Square Enix, what would you rate it?
I'm gonna give it a 7.9.
7.9. I will be the shocker here, and I will give Square Enix a solid 8.
All right. A 0.1 difference for us.
And I think that 0.1 difference is because I recognized Battalion 1994, the Roblox core-looking game. I think Avengers was definitely like the thing that held it up. That and Final Fantasy being so well made.
But like everything else was there, like I know it appeals to someone, right? Like it wasn't like everything they showed wasn't bad. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah, but what was my thing definitely appealed to me, even if we overhyped it. So we rated all those. Now let's rate the tournaments and the Nintendo separately because they put them separately.
All right.
So just all of the tournaments together, what would you rate them? Like just based on how much fun you had.
Based on how much fun I have, I give them an 8. Based on how good they probably are, if you just weren't a fan, I'd probably give them a 6. Like I think Mario Maker appeals to everyone, but then the other one's just like you have to like have some attachment to either Nintendo or these games to get much out of it.
Yeah. Splatoon 2, it's fun watching them, but it definitely dragged on considering that they showed the seeding rounds.
And the seeding rounds I think was a mistake for both of them.
Yeah, but I like Super Mario Maker, and Super Mario Maker 2 seems to appeal to me more now. And I love Smash Bros. We love Smash Ultimate, one of the best Smash games, one of the best games in general. And it's just a fun time. I'll probably give it, what did you give it again? 7.7? something?
I think I just gave it an even 7 if I'm guessing. I don't know. I gave it an 8 for enjoyment, a 6 for like its actual rating enjoyment not there. So it's a 7 if you're gonna go with the middle.
Okay. I'll give it an 8.5 just because I loved seeing Smash again and I loved seeing Mario Maker 2, and it also gave me like some further insight on Mario Maker. So, it got that little boost.
And now for Nintendo. Did it win for you? Let's find out. Alright, I'll start. It's your channel, so you can have the big final score.
Alright.
I'll go 9.3.
9.3. I gave Xbox an 8.9, I think.
Yep.
And Xbox only really had Project Z/DBZ Kakarot for me. Plus some little zingers here and there. I'm more connected to Nintendo, and what they gave me was either really good or it was shocking. So, and it opened up new areas for Nintendo, like Doug Bowser. I want to see more of him. So I will give it a solid 9.
All right.
So Nintendo won for me this year, but it was very, very close between Nintendo and Xbox. And I'm not sure where we would have put Sony because they have Spider-Man. They would have gave more information on Ghosts of whatever. I forget its name if you remember that game.
Yeah, Ghosts of Tsushima.
Yeah. So, would have loved to see them, but I hope to see them next year.
Yeah, I'm guessing next year we've seen everyone back to play. Everyone will be on their, everyone will be all ready to go. Nintendo actually may be the lower one because all they have, I think, all they have right now that we know of would just be Breath of the Wild 2 now. So
here's what I'm thinking for next E3. What would you rate this E3? Because we didn't rate last E3, but let's just rate this one in general. I would rate this one overall a 7.5.
Did you feel the absence of Sony?
I felt the absence of Sony, but I feel like even with their absences, since this was technically the last E3 before the next generation of consoles, they brought all their AAA games out, and they're gonna like release them all within the next year. So they like bombarded us with all this stuff. So I think what was good was really good, and what was bad was really bad.
Yeah, this is like the last. This is the last E3 just about these consoles, and we don't know if the next E3 is going to show off anything for these consoles. So it was a lot of just, here's what we got. It's the last time to send this stuff out. Here you go. So we get a lot of 2020 games.
Yeah.
And so
I would give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I'm thinking 7.7.
So you liked it a little more than I did.
Yeah, it wasn't the strongest one, but there's no such thing as a bad E3. It's always a good time.
Yeah, it's always a good E3. They're always above average. It's just you either got good E3s or you got, E3s.
I wonder what the best E3 would be. Like, just like if I could just look back at it. Well, I guess now I can start ranking them, so we'll know.
Yeah. Last year, maybe we could just rank them on our own time and then think about it. But
yeah, I did not fully know what last year had other than Bethesda because I went back to that recently.
Yeah.
Just see.
This E3 was good because it had a bombardment of games, but next E3, I feel like everyone's going to bring their A game with consoles, with new systems, with new programs and all that stuff. Like, they're going to be talking a lot about the system powers and all that stuff.
Well, we're getting all the launch titles revealed, too. All we have right now is Halo, which is a big launch title, but...
Yeah.
So we're going to get all those launch titles plus all the 2020 games next year that we already know about, like Cyberpunk and Avengers and Final Fantasy and Animal Crossing and all these things. It's going to be... It may be the biggest year of gaming. I already said that before, but, it has the potential to be huge.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And this E3, even without Sony, which I would love seeing Sony, was still a pretty good E3 because, like I said, the goods were really good and the bads were really bad. But I think that's everything we got to talk about, right?
All right.
So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on the channel again. We'll be back again next year for E3 probably.
Yeah, you can count on it. We'll find a way.
Yeah, and I think we're going to do this again next year, even if it's a bigger E3, because I think getting it all out at once helps us organize it more.
Yeah, well, if we did the EA show, we would have rated it so highly, and then we would have seen Star Wars and be like, oh. And not so highly. We would have still rated it badly, but the Star Wars bit would have been like, oh, that's pretty good. And then we could come back and it's like, you could have done better. So
Yeah, so
it's
you
nice
agree.
to have retrospective.
So yeah, you think that this one's better, the way that we did it this year.
Yeah, and it also is easier for both of us, just recording it all at once instead of a bunch of recording sessions and editing sessions, and it goes through the whole thing. And we spend 24/7 just working on this or watching. Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
So expect
And
this
right
next
now,
year.
this is only like a 3-hour, 40-something minute podcast, so
No big deal, that's all it is.
yeah. And then put it in with Dragon Ball Project Z and whatever I talk about with the Avengers and Banjo, maybe if I make those videos. But anyway, thanks for coming on the channel, and if you guys want, if you guys aren't already subscribed to The Lost Chapter, go over to his channel. I'll leave a link in the description down below so you can check him out. And he makes great anime content. You may know him from his Full Metal Alchemist video because that did really well.
It did pretty good. The rest of it does okay.
And so if you like my Dragon Ball content, feel free to go over and watch his stuff. He does anime stuff. He'll probably do video game stuff, but don't quote me on it because, he might lynch
I did
me
the Persona
for it.
one.
But,
I've done some video game, just Persona, but I've only done like 8 videos, so
Yeah.
it all works out.
But anyway, make sure to check him out. And thank you all for listening for these 3 hours and however many minutes. But until next E3, we'll see you guys later.
Yeah, see you guys.